All right. And we are live. The last word, water-free edition with, with Ebontis and Ty Guy Travis. Fresh off of a missed Friday, but we're back. The technical gods have blessed us. First, let us talk to the cheetah, the man of the hour, the man that has survived the most catastrophic failure known to man, but is still with us. How are we doing, sir?
I'm here. I have no idea, honestly, how I'm here. Because if you guys knew so a lot of people have seen on Twitter, some people were on the show, a lot of people who are close enough to me know generally what happened. But I've got these, like, basically, type, like, stainless steel water thing.
Reenactment. Be
yeah,
careful.
yeah, I know.
Okay,
Everybody's all touchy. But they're so far separate right now, it's not an issue.
Good.
But it holds about, like, 20, 25 ounces of water. And like the top is basically the biggest part of it. And that's what actually was not on the top of it, because I was like making a mix of my advanced UG in the morning and had everything in there. And the top was not on. So there was no like limitation, no like slight slow of flow, just like the whole, it was like a bucket of water was poured on top of my PC when I spilled it. Literally an open bucket, just whoosh. And the problem is I recently got a case to try and help with like airflow. And it's like the Corsair 5000D.
Mm-hmm.
Great case, by the way. Not sponsored or anything, but I actually really like the case for airflow. But unfortunately, it's open in the top. So it's not like you pour it on the top and it kind of ran down the sides and you got to clean it off. It ran through the fans, through the radiator, down onto like the motherboard, dripping through the PC, through the GPU. Like it was everywhere. And I was just like, there was a point where I thought my monitor like kind of flickered off and I was like, oh God, there goes the GPU. And I basically pulled the power cable out of the back. As quick as I kind of realized I could, that was my first reach to try and cut the power. There's still some residual power at that point, but basically at that point, like these guys were on the Discord call with me because I jumped back in with the phone. I'm over here like ripping parts out of the computer, dismantling it as fast as I can. I literally have like isopropyl alcohol. When I got that thing over, like when I got my motherboard out, I'm literally like the whole bottle of isopropyl. I'm spraying my motherboard with isopropyl alcohol at this point because I feel like I can't hurt it. It was so destroyed. So it was like that, a hair dryer, a whole lot of Q-tips, a toothbrush. I went through everything.
Surgery. You put it in the ER immediately.
Well, I dismantled. I have a Founders Edition 3090, and I've dismantled it and actually put like better thermal pads on for the memory, which has actually helped a lot. So I've taken it apart before. So I was like, okay, I didn't care at this point. Like I took the heat sinks off the motherboard. I dismantled everything. And somehow first thing the test was like the GPU, because that actually recently won a new egg shuffle and helped somebody else get a graphics card. And I was like, I know there's a graphics card like in shipment right now. Maybe I can talk to that content creator and see about getting it if mine died. So my first priority was my GPU to try and test it. And I have a computer upstairs where we have Beat Saber set up. It's a little older computer. So I have that set up upstairs, and
That's the one I played on. That's the one I played on. You played
downstairs.
You and Summer brought it downstairs when I came. Okay,
yeah, gotcha. it was on my good computer at that point. It was just that one still works. I moved the GPU up there.
Gotcha.
So I tested it up there for a little bit, and I was like, hey, told my wife, it's like, hey, jump into Beat Saber. We'll see if like the GPU put a little stress through it, and it actually played well for a little while, and then it went to a green screen. And I was like, oh, God.
Oh, so you like, it's done. It's done.
Yeah, I thought it was done. And, but basically what it was, there wasn't enough power for the GPU.
Right.
Because the power supply up there was like 750. This one's like 1,000. So it was just like, it ran for a little while, would always sit in Windows, but then it just wasn't enough for the...
But at that point, you attributed it's a possibility that it was damaged, not realizing it could not be having enough power.
Pretty much. And then my brother went through the same thing because he got like a 3080 and he had an older computer or smaller power supply when he got his 3080, and his was like ran for a bit and would turn off. So he had something similar. So I was like kind of going back and forth. I gave the content creator that I'd helped get a GPU like emotional roller coaster hell because I was like, I may need that one. I don't. Maybe I do still. So I was just messing with her even more. But all somehow between the cleaning, the dismantling, lots of toothbrushing and alcohol, Q-tips and everything else. And I think I've re-thermal pasted everything recently. So it's all fresh and clean and somehow working at this point. No, Friday morning, and it was Cognito and Travis saw me on the call, and Tom was nice enough to stay on for a little bit, but he had to run. But like all of them saw my face, and later I talked to Cognito and he was just like, dude, I basically just thought I had died. So
yeah, your life flashed before your eyes. The IT gods have blessed you. You have a second lease on life. So we're happy to have you back in the world of living computers. You gave us a scare. Me and Travis stayed on the call. We were just like, man, I hope that thing come back. You know what I'm saying? Like we would just like praying for the worst.
If anybody,
not the worst, but for the best.
If anybody knew how much water actually went in there, you would never have I mean, I'm sitting there pulling the GP out of the socket. There's fluid dripping through this PCI socket. Like nothing should work right now, and somehow it does. So it's like these parts are apparently a little beastly because they all survived. So.
No doubt. So, Trav, anything to compete with this for your
I hope
Friday?
Not, man. I hope it's been
before we get into our esteemed guest.
I mean, am I allowed to heckle him? How much time do we have?
We got to be respectful. We're little heckles, okay.
I will say I'm amazed at his ability to turn that technical catastrophe into another ad for Advanced GG. That's
yes. Salute to that. Yes.
I think that's really important.
He should shout out the alcohol company too. That's what
some joke about the last word campfire almost being extinguished by a bucket of water. Maybe we should rename this the Splash Zone, Cog. You and I are sitting in the Splash Zone of the podcast. I don't know. I could go on, but
it sounds like you've been thinking on these for a while.
I like those. I
kind of like we joked about that, and I basically my chat when I was actually able to stream for a little bit. Besides the fact that my AC went out the same day that happened, by the way.
Jesus,
my AC was out for like the entire weekend after that. That finally got fixed on Monday.
They wanted to make you sweat, E. They wanted to make you sweat.
Literally. I had no problem with that. But yeah, it's been quite a thing. What have you been up to, Cog? Since I was the one with all the entertainment.
I've been good, brother. Just busy, obviously defining Duke and LordsOfGaming.net and ILP and all that good stuff. Just, making the rounds, doing stuff. I will plug something as we start. If you guys can, if you see pinned on my Twitter account at Lord Cognito, please, one of our Destiny brothers, man, he is going through a rough year. And I have to shout him out. You've heard me probably mention the name Sinister often on this podcast. He's always, if you've played Destiny with me or anybody in ILP clan, he's either raided with you or helped you get something done. So yeah, sadly, he lost his mom yesterday. And this year has been a rough year. He also lost his dad and grandma to COVID-19 complications. So we're trying to do something special for him. If you get a chance, and if you get out of the kindness and generosity of your heart, you want to help our brother, we're trying to raise something to kind of funeral arrangements and send off the family right. So salute to Sinister. I love you, bro. He listens all the time. Big fan. And we know you're going through it. You're hurting, but we're going to try to rally for you so that responsibility is not all on you. So salute to Lord Sinister, my guy. Sorry to make it somber. Sorry.
No. Way to bring it back to reality after my idiocy. So thank you.
No doubt.
That being said, we have a guest to bring into the show, and he's been patient enough to wait through my stupid story. So let's do this the only way.
Week.
I just remember when I was on in the pre-show, and I just said, "Put it in rice," and not knowing that it was that bad. So, all
right, let's do this intro. How we do this. Welcome to the Last Word, episode 168. We got a break from Trials of Osiris as Lord Saladin, who is long overdue for an update, by the way, graced the tower for another week of Iron Banner bounties. The Helm has kept things spicy as we got to see the dreaded conversation between a bird and a crystal take place firsthand, and we got our final chat with a god as well. With increased difficulty on the horizon and a first series of trials experiments in the rear view, we are lucky enough to be joined by an extremely distinguished guest around the campfire today to discuss this crossroads in Season of the Lost. Our guest today has always had a talent for using his words, and there's a lawsuit from his teen years to prove it. As with many forms of technology, he always has been ahead of his time. His passion for tech made his initial career choice a likely one. That wasn't enough, though. Working double time to stay ahead of the curve, he built his own community, focused around all things Microsoft, and it rocketed into the stratosphere. The watchful eyes of the internet noticed his talents, and The Verge was the winner of this man's silver pin. From GoldenEye as a young lad to Windows IT as an adult, you could say he was destined to end up where he is now. Woo! With his new puppy Frank by his side and getting his lunch delivered from Mars, his home in the United Kingdom seems to fit him rather well. And while new technology is never too far away, neither is his camera phone. Go check out this man's world traveler's Instagram. Seriously, #jealous. He may not technically hold the title of Lord or Earl, But anyone who knows his career wouldn't argue that he deserves something like that, because in the world of technology and gaming journalism, our guest today is part of wordsmith royalty. We will check with Lord Cognito after the show to see if we could work on at least an honorary elevation to Duke. So let's welcome to the campfire the founder of Wind Rumors and now senior editor at The Verge with over 5,000 articles and counting, a man who has appeared on nearly every major global news network, the one, the only, TomWarren, sir. How are you doing?
Hey. Wow, what an intro. I feel way more important than I think I am. But yeah, hello. So I've been a Destiny fan, and I've played Destiny since the alpha, so I've played way too I think I have 5,000 hours in Destiny 2, which is kind of, yeah. So yeah, I'm a huge Destiny player.
You need to pump up those numbers, bro. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers.
I know, I need 10k. I've got to get to 10k. But yeah, so I love to be here and talk. I don't talk about Destiny enough. Like, I tweet about it sometimes, and but like,
is this your first Destiny show? Have you been on other shows?
Yeah, No, I haven't. No.
That's word exclusive.
Hey,
Nice. We got the exclusive.
Exclusive.
I sometimes jump in people's like Twitch streams and say hello and
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
ask questions and stuff. But yeah, I haven't actually been on people's shows. So.
Yeah,
Some of us have made a whole career out of it. Just Destiny.
What do you do? Just
it's-
one game?
Oh no,
It's such a complex game, though, isn't it? So
it is. It is. It's very,
There's nothing
very
quite like it. So.
nothing like it. And before I know we're gonna get into it, but I definitely, after E set you up with an amazing intro, I definitely wanted to get into, gaming history, and you got some really, really standout titles. I saw that GoldenEye and stuff like that. So like early beginnings as far as console gaming, what were some of the inspirations that kind of just got you into gaming in general?
Yeah, so originally I had like a PS2 back in the day. And then there was like this little local store near me that kind of like imported like consoles and stuff. When like stuff back then, like I'm like 37. I feel old. But back then,
That's not
like
that
stuff
not
was
that
all
old.
region locked, right? So
Yep.
you had to like get the specific disc, or if you had like a Japanese console, you had to have Japanese games and like
Oh yeah.
all that sort of stuff. And I just remember taking like, I don't know how many games I had, like 20 or 30 PS2 games, and then trading that in for an N64 and coming home like with just like one game, just the N64 and GoldenEye, and my mum being like, "What the hell have you done? Like, why have you traded this in and all these games for this one game?" And I think that was probably the start of me like being into games and stuff. So I obviously I love the N64. Apart from its kind of wacky controller. But,
Yeah, shout out to the batarang with the analog in the center. Yes, yes.
It was made for
nothing,
something.
nothing ever quite like that, is there?
Yes.
Made for a three-handed person, as far as I can.
I like when I played like GoldenEye emulated on the PC like a couple of months ago, and it's so weird like playing that again.
Oh,
You haven't
yeah.
touched it for years.
It is aged remarkably poorly, I must say. It's
Yeah.
impressively
I'm sure-
how bad it's.
Sadly, I'm sure the graphics that are in my head are still better by a huge margin than what it actually is. Because, I mean, you go back and you think like Odd Job and the shots that you do, you're like, I'm picturing GoldenEye the movie and N64. I'm like, it's kind of trash, but in the moment it was good.
You know what
I
it
did-
was?
yeah.
It wasn't even the graphics for me. It's I completely forgot that in GoldenEye you use one analog stick to control movement and aiming, and that is not good. It is. That's just rough. Resident Evil 4 had the same problem, but it got remastered and they added like a second stick control. But damn, man, it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
I was
But
gonna
I was so into like GoldenEye.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that.
I remember like speed running all of the stuff, and even like I went to like a local like mall that we had, and they had like this little competition about like if you could speed run it over like they had like a month-long thing. So if you were the top speed, you'd win like a golden N64. So
Wow.
like, I won that and gave it to my
damn.
sister.
Really?
Ooh,
Okay.
okay.
N64.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So that was
Do you
was
still
cool.
have it? You must still have the
No,
promotional
don't.
gold.
Oh, man.
Oh.
No,
What happened to it?
I haven't kept like a bunch of my old stuff. Like
I don't
think
have
once
much
you
of mine
move and
either.
You kind of like clear stuff out.
Yeah.
I'm not nostalgic at all. As soon as the old generation's gone, I'm like, well, time to get rid of this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm so
no
bad for like
nostalgia, yeah.
keeping old stuff.
Yeah.
Like I like to just trash it.
It's like I have one thing I still wish I had, and that's my Chrono Trigger cartridge. Everything else I'm probably okay with, but that one is like that's my game. But yeah, it's like I've always done traded in typically, even though you get like cents on the dollar. But I've always just like PS4, yep, for the Pro. Okay, Pro for the 5, yep, just you know. And they make the deals like occasionally GameStop's like, we're gonna give you $200. I'm like, what? Sure, like have it, take it. I don't care. You can go rip somebody else off for it. I'll take $200 because I got my use out of it. So
I do have the hard drive that they had you take out of your N64 with that little plastic tool when you're doing the expansion drive. I have like the old heart of my N64. It's like one of the only relics I have. Kalima. I've got that.
No.
I met for my birthday a few years ago. My girlfriend like booked. There's a place nearby us in Peckham. I think it's called Four Quarters or something like that. It's like some really retro thing, and she like booked like this whole area where they had like all old N64s and like every generation of console. And that's
cool. A nice lady.
Nice.
Yeah, you gotta keep her there. Yeah, that's nice. Pretty awesome.
That's what's up. I just want to ask quick before we transition off GoldenEye. You know, I have some family in London, and I've traveled there, and that's how I actually, as a young age, got introduced to like the impact of like James Bond. So was GoldenEye in the UK, like, was it like this massive thing because of also the popularity of the series and in general?
Yeah, maybe. Like I think it was like the first of its kind, really, wasn't it? Of its genre, really. So like I think it was that, and it was like the 4-player. You know, like I remember just taking my N64 to friends' houses and just doing that split screen multiplayer stuff. And like it was just so unique. So I think it was definitely a part of the Bond stuff. But
it was like the only good shooter until Combat Evolved. Like figured out how to do console shooters. Like that was like. And then after Combat Evolved came out, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, like why aren't shooters just on every like it's perfect for a controller? Why isn't there constantly?"
But like that sort of experience, like kind of really kind of got me into. I think the N64 was like really like the PS2 was like great, and I loved all the games there. But the N64 was like kind of the you know, like that was the thing for me. And then when I really got into like PCs when I was after that, and started. Like I did some stupid stuff as a teenager. Like I'd nick my mum's credit card and buy PC parts and shit.
Shout out to Tom out here.
Did she like make you return them, or was like, did you like receive this package and the credit card bill just kind of went through?
No, she let me keep them, and like I think my parents like basically fostered my like obsession with PCs.
Sounds so, like they were like,
so I was kind of lucky.
He didn't buy drugs, so I guess we'll let him keep this.
Our man's out here committing felonies for the love of the game.
There was no repercussions from this.
Yeah, I'm like,
my parents
dude,
were
if I did that, I would
my
be
parents were too soft
right
on
now.
me. That's for sure.
Clearly. I got to get to the Warren household. This is
for sure.
This is amazing.
You guys find me along the roadside if that were me.
So I got really into PCs and like building PCs, and I don't know. Like I remember we had like a shed in our garden. I don't know what that converts to in America.
Now that we get it.
Sure.
Yeah, we have that.
And it was just full of PC parts and just old PCs and shit. Like we used to build PCs for like my sister and my mom, and I had the whole thing, like a server, Active Directory network, the whole lot going on. Wow. It was just stupid, really. But that got me into PC gaming, obviously, and Steam and everything else, and particularly Return to Castle Wolfenstein. So like that was my big one. So I was in like clans. We competed in like. They had like an Intel gaming tournament in London in the Science Museum many years ago. It was like the very start of like that sort of thing. I used to go up to like LAN events in Manchester and stuff and just drag my PC along.
Oh man, those PCs and the monitor, that's like the weight of my entire body as a child. Like
CRTs.
Oh my God, CRTs.
I got this like 19-inch Dell CRT. It was like sort of like this deep. And it's just you carry that thing around, doesn't even fit on the little card. You put it on the card table that's at your friend's LAN house, and the card table goes.
I remember doing like house parties at like when I was like 16, 17, and I'd take my PC to the party which sounds really like that sounds like the most nerdiest thing right now. But it was like full of like MP3s and
So
Napster
much
and stuff.
work, man. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
doing LAN parties was like so much work. It was like everybody's TV was huge. Even if you were
Yeah.
doing like a Halo LAN party, which is what I did,
Mhm.
the TV was like the biggest thing. Now that's like the easiest thing. Monitor,
Yeah.
all right, easy.
Oh, yeah.
So true. So true.
But
Trav, you got
Return to Castle Wolfenstein really kicked that and GoldenEye really kicked off my love for like first person shooters. Basically, that's
Nice.
mostly all I play. Really,
nice. Nice.
all I dedicate most of my time to that. So
So I
doubt,
wanted
Trav.
to touch on this like journey through journalism. You started a blog when you were probably before you were driving and went through a lawsuit. Like I got to know the details on this thing that happened before you even hit like adulthood.
yeah,
You've gone through a
I re-
lawsuit and a blog, and it was like, yeah, what was that whole story? How did that go?
Yeah, so I wrote about this. So the blog was Times New Roman, like the font. And
Mhm.
so
Oh,
I
yeah.
registered that domain name, the UK version. And I had it for years. And I used to just do these stupid blogs saying like how I used to like get drunk at 16 with my mates. And like I wanted to be famous on the internet. I mean, it's sort of really, like if you read it now, it's just such cringe, isn't it?
Oh, I
It's
love
just-
this. I love this.
It's so funny.
Hilarious.
And all that sort of stuff. And anyway, like one day I was like, you know what? TimesNewRoman.com, I think the people that own that should be directing traffic to me. So I was like, I penned off like a quick email to like whoever, I can't remember the font company that actually owns Times New Roman. But I actually dared to actually email them and be like, yo, I've got the UK domain and like would you mind adding a backlink sort of thing? And then obviously that alerted them to the fact that some 16-year-old idiot in the UK had registered their domain name. And so then I got like this legal letter saying, you know, like we're not going to sue you, but like we'll give you like £500 for this domain. Or it was around about that amount of money for this domain name, and you know, like no questions asked sort of thing. So I was like, on one part I was like, but my domain, and also I was like £500, you know, that's a new graphics card and a new processor.
There you
at
go.
that point.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure.
Respectfully, I like this hustle. Your hustle game is serious, though. I like this. Continue on.
Well, you were 16, so the internet was still the Wild West back then, wasn't it? What year?
Yeah,
was
yeah.
would
I
that
remember.
have been?
Yeah, when would that have been?
It's like, was this hosted on GeoCities or MySpace?
Yeah, it would have been 2000, right? Yeah,
Yeah. So that was back
So it
like
was-
like
it was
I
back
remember-
when it was dial up and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
oh,
But it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
that was back when like teenagers were buying like domain names for like politicians' campaigns and then selling
Yeah,
them
yeah,
to them
yeah.
for a couple of thousand. Like that was
It-
like
it-
crazy. You can't do that anymore. Like that's
Nah, but
They
that was
figured it all
back
out.
when that was back when it was so competitive as well. Like I remember there would be like AOL obviously and free serve and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
then there was like these rogue ones which are like for us like a free dial like toll free number is 0800. So there used to be these ones and they'd be like you can sign on from like 6 p.m. for free all weekend. So I'd be like clicking and my modem's like trying it 50,000 times. It's just not going through.
Which you was
And then-
rocking? When you had the 1440, 33.6 K, what you was doing? What you doing with that modem?
28 BPS.
Ma, get off the phone. Get off the telly.
Mum picks up the phone and like suddenly your Grand Theft Auto multiplayer session has ended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk that OG talk. I love it. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah, like that was my domain name gone.
Wow.
Related to
Shout out
that,
to-
but
I just love that it's named after the font. Times New Roman.
I know
That's
what was that?
amazing.
I don't know.
It's like,
That was
what was the
amazing.
motivation for that?
I don't know why. I think it was the default font in Office at the time. So I was just like,
Yep.
let's just go with that. But like my nickname at the time was Cool Tom123. So I obviously was a very uninspired, uncreative teenager.
Cool Tom 1 2 3. The originality.
Love it. Love it.
Oh,
Now, Trav, you got any questions for Tom?
I guess since now we know how you got into shooters, what got you into Destiny? How long have you been playing it, and sort of what's been your relationship with it?
Yeah, so I played the beta of Destiny because a friend was playing it, and I thought it was cool and it was like interesting. There was obviously the grind, the loot, and the loot caves.
Boy, was there. Yeah.
That all that stuff was there. But I think what really got me into it, and this is kind of funny, is like I think I signed into my Xbox on a Saturday. My friend was in a party and I joined it, and he was like doing a raid, and I was like, what is he doing? Like, what's going on? And they were like, fully intense, and I was like, yo, what's up, guys? And they were like, who the hell's this? Like in the middle. I can't remember what raid it was. It would have been one of the first Destiny raids, but.
Most likely.
And then like he said, oh, look, this is in the game, all the raids and stuff, and I was like, this is cool. Okay, I wanna play this. So that kind of got me in, and then that got you hooked, and running around collecting spin metal and stuff. That kind of got me. I got hooked. The little loop
I must have
that
hundreds of hours just doing spin metal.
Oh God,
yeah.
I forgot about that until somebody reminds me. Yeah, Luke Cave is going to be making an encore appearance here in couple months apparently.
Yeah. I still have friends who, when I tell them I play Destiny, they're like, oh, do you run around social spaces collecting spin metal? And I'm like, guys, it's not like that anymore, okay? It's way more annoying.
But those different elements of like the game definitely, like I think I always just saw the potential for the game, which I don't think has really been fulfilled. Like I know Bungie says like it's an MMO, but
finally,
I think we've all seen the potential for the entire life of the game. Like as soon as we get a tease of something, there's always like more potential that could be there. Like one of mine was always like, oh, we got to see set bonuses in Drifter. Still waiting on that to actually pan out. Like anything like that, for example. But yeah, potential, I feel like it's a word we hear from a lot of people about the game, because I think the passion is always so deep in a lot of people, because what everybody hopes could be there someday, and it's always like kind of flirting with it-ish. Like it's never quite there, never fully MMO, never full RPG.
Yeah,
it's always
it's a hybrid mix, isn't it? Like, but it's a mix that no one's been in. Like obviously Anthem tried, and
Division tried, and
no one's really been able to compete with it, have they? Really?
Yeah.
Like,
I also don't want
unique.
it to be a full MMO. I'm kind of glad that they're not going fully there, but I agree. There's like this weird subgenre that mixes a lot of other things, and they've not been able to replicate it. There's been so many Destiny killers. All of them, they're just corpses, like just tombstones for all these
I just remember the beginning of Destiny when it first came out. There was like there's so much UK media coverage of it that it was like stealing boyfriends and husbands away from their families and stuff, because there was like millions of people playing at that point. So.
Yeah, I was working in the IGN office when Destiny launched, and I remember we kept posting news about it every day, and there were some people on the team that were like, why are we doing this? Like, why are there so many Destiny articles? And we were like, dude, have you seen the numbers? People care about this game. Like, we'll post like the dumbest article ever. It'll be like, here's how to do one tiny thing inside of Destiny, and get like 1 million views. It'll be like, like that's nuts. Like, keep posting. We should do a podcast just for this.
Isn't Where Is Xur still like a top Google? It was until a few years ago, like top Google
I forgot
search
Xur
stuff.
was in the game. Ebontis makes videos of him every week.
I mean, I do that. There's even the people who run Where Is Xur, the website, they'll do their kind of Friday streams. And like, you see like pretty good sized content creators like Glad, if he's doing something random, have a couple thousand. When they go on for that little like, kind of 2 hour lead up window and after, there's like 3,000 people watching them for like an hour. And it's like this little bing kink. And it's like, I mean, there's content creators like me watching it, but it's like everybody tends to know about that one thing. It used to matter more, but yeah.
No, I think it's interesting now because they've obviously given him random roles. So it's actually made him a little bit. But they need to like, I think, was it Lucky Tempe or someone tweeted?
Yeah.
That he needs to be randomly dropped throughout the world.
I would love to see like the hunt for him.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah,
no doubt.
It'd be really annoying if
he used to be super important, Xur. I remember like some weeks he was like the only reason I logged on. I would just log on Friday, go to Xur, see if he had anything. Nope, okay, log off. Nothing new in Destiny this week.
Did you buy Galahorn from him?
I did the second week. I'm like the only guy who did. I bought it because I thought it looked pretty, and everyone was like, Travis, you are wasting your money. I was like, but look how pretty it looks. And then afterward, everybody was just like, oh, god damn. Like, Travis has this gun. And I was just like, what up?
Exactly.
Back then, you had to basically try and get free Galahorn as well, because there were like dim didn't really exist then, so you couldn't really transfer it easily. So
that was a thing, man. The Nightfalls and just seeing the reactions of people who finally get that drop, and the classism with Gallo it was kind of hilarious.
Oh my
You
god.
know?
LFG
So toxic.
must
Oh.
have Galley.
Must have Gallo.
Mine's still like the worst, just because like I had a buddy who played with a ton, and he was trying to see how many galleys he could get before I got my first. He almost had his heavy slot full. He almost had 9 before I got my first one. I think he was like 7 or 8. So he had to eventually complete it all. But yeah, he had a point where he showed me a picture and he had 9 galleys, and I had like got my first relatively recently.
That reminds
one
me
hurts.
of that reminds me of helping people do for 1,000 Voices. And in opening the chest, like I helped like a bunch of exports people, like I don't know when it was, like probably about a year ago. And I opened all the chests up. They opened all the chests up, and I got like 4 of them. And I already had it. And I was like, guys, sorry. They kept seeing
Gotta
it pop
embarrass
up.
you.
And none
You're
of them got it. I was like, what is happening here?
Jesus.
You're like trying to move the chat dialogue up so people don't see that an exotic dropped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
RNG, baby.
Those were the days, baby. Those are the days.
Yeah.
Well, any more RNG?
So yeah, that's kind of
is not-
what got me into Destiny. Like, it's you know, it's tried my patience, I must admit. I think particularly in the last couple of years or year, like I think since it went to Steam with the hacking.
Okay. Yes.
Like there's only times when I feel ragey in a game is when I'm up against a hacker or something.
Yeah.
It really gets me.
Mhm.
I was like, then don't play Call of Duty apparently right now. Don't play Battlefield. I saw already has hackers in the beta. Like it's they're
They're
crazy
everywhere.
fast.
I do have a random question. In reference to, I think all of us here as Destiny players, at some point there's that point of frustration, right? There's that point of, you know what, I'm kind of out right now. Like, did you have a moment like that with Destiny? And then, if so, what was the moment you're like, you know what, I'm not playing right now. I'm done for right now. I can't. Like, what was that moment for you?
I think was it Warmind around about then?
Ooh, okay.
I think I didn't mind the expansion, but I think like once I'd got into it, I was just like, it just felt a bit like repetitive and stuff, and I got bored with the game at that point. So I stepped away from it. I actually think Sea of Thieves came out at that point, and that was like super interesting to me. That game, because it felt a little bit like, not like Destiny, but like a lot of the aspects of social play and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I went heavily into Sea of Thieves for a while and did Pirate Legend and went crazy.
Whoa,
on
you
that.
got Pirate Legend.
Wow.
Yeah. Athena level, whatever it was as well.
That's like
salute.
a lot of hours in that game.
It was a lot of hours. Yeah, I was grindy games.
Trying to balance Destiny and Sea of Thieves, and then at one point I was like, "You got to choose, Travis. You can't have this life."
Can't do both.
Sea of Thieves now is amazing as well. Like, compared to the
so
best,
good.
it's so
Massive.
good.
And then
But
what was
so
the moment?
I paused Destiny for a bit there, for a good close to a year, I'd say. Yeah.
And then the flip side, what was the comeback? What pulled you back?
Was it Forsaken? Yeah, Forsaken. Yeah. Like Forsaken was like truly, I think, the best expansion that Destiny's ever done. And I know a lot of people say the writing wasn't amazing, but I think it was the thing for me was doing the Tangle Shore, and like that took a lot of time. And then the Dreaming City, the surprise of the Dreaming City, and just how big it was and all the secrets and stuff, that was it. That had me hooked straight back in. I was like, this is truly great. So although the other stuff that followed, like One-Eyed Mask and the supers, that was but I mean, it was fun. It was very fun.
Seems like you have some issues with the competitive side of Destiny.
Oh yeah, well this is what I was saying when we were chatting the other week before the waterfall incident happened.
A waterfall incident. Continue. I like that.
I played the PvE side of the game mainly for PvP.
Ooh, Travis, you hear this?
Oh, I knew this.
I knew this. Yeah. Like I like the PvE stuff, but I feel like it's got to the point where it's, and I think part of this is the light level as well, the creep there, the power creep. But I feel like it's just got to the point where it doesn't feel particularly challenging. It feels like I could almost go into PvE with any gun on, really, and just use abilities.
Unless they force you to use a certain gun.
Yeah.
You got champions that can only use barrier auto rifles. Go. Well, I have like 6 choices.
Yeah. Although there's so many weapons and stuff that you can get around that now. You know, like there's so many abilities that you can just totally wipe them out. But yeah, so I feel like PvE and they're obviously doing this. What they're doing, like legendary stuff. I can't remember the exact term for it, but in Witch Queen and beyond. So maybe that'll get a bit more interesting. But I feel like they should just get rid of power level and you know have hard activities and normal. Like that should be the standard. So I think that also helps. Like if I bring new friends in, and they don't have to grind this power to play an activity with me.
Yeah, it's like I've been actually playing a lot of New World. Yep, I've been chopping a lot of trees and everything else. So I have been playing a lot of New World. I checked my hours and I was like, oh crap. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's probably sadly not as far off as it should be. But that is still one of those things. If I walk up to a level 6 enemy, I just one shot it, and it's just like you never get to do that in Destiny. You never, and that's when you say it's like getting rid of the power level. It's like in theory, they're as powerful as they want you to be. They're gonna cap you in Grandmasters, like. They're going to always have the Delta working generally against you. And that's why occasionally you see the people who are sitting there, you know, doing the, what is it, the Shattered Throne, Thrall hallway or whatever. And they're like level, you know, plus 50. I'm like, why? There's literally 0 point. The highest stuff caps you. Like you want to do a Mastered Nightfall easier. That's the only thing I can generally think of. But other than that, it is the weird thing about this. Like, you never get to feel over the top, even in the PvE side, even though, as you said, you've grinded up this crazy power. Theoretically in Patrol, you could still die, like, and you should nuke everything out there. So it's always weird. So I get you on that one.
My clan mates call them power or bounty gremlins. That's for those people. Which is, you know, like, I guess that's the stupidity. Like, you could just sit there with your computer overnight, AFKing. Just in the throwaway checkpoint, just to get to the point to be able to do Vault of Glass Master. So, which is basically I've kind of had to do a similar thing just to get that because I didn't quite complete the seals. That's another thing. I've got every seal in the game.
Wow, flex!
Yeah. You got
we gotta call Teddy up. We gonna have to compete stats here. What's going on?
It's like Teddy's got every.
Teddy got competition.
Teddy's got full Grimoire score. He's a little crazier, but every seal.
No, don't do that. That's
every seal is still no joke because like that means you're running raids in all the different fashions and way. That's everything, man. That's legit.
Yeah, I do like pretty much every day one raid. If it depends. Like if there's stuff going on at work, then obviously I don't. But like I'll do it in the first week at least anyway.
Xbox and Destiny raid come out in the same day. What do you do?
That was actually troublesome. The Xbox Series X because they both they launched at the same time as Beyond Live. Right? So
right.
That was difficult.
It's like it was a tough week. I don't want to talk about it.
Lots of sleep was not had.
Yeah. Salute, man. The one that I'm always jealous, it's the one that she got for doing all the activities with Scourge of the Past. That raid, that was serious. I forgot the name of it now. But there were lots of
Blacksmith. That's the one my brother wanted.
Blacksmith.
My brother wanted Blacksmith, and then he saw the
one I wanted.
Yeah, and my brother was like, "Oh, I have to do a flawless raid," and he just was like, "Nope."
Yep.
And then you guys wanted Blacksmith? There's like some that are called like Flawless and Unbroken, and you want to be like a tradesman.
So like,
because nobody had it, so rare.
Yeah, but some sound cool. Like there's one that's like Flawless, or I figured at some point we were gonna have like a godly type title. I'm like, that's a bit like over the top for what you're trying to say. Is like, I'm God, cool, yay. It's like, no, I'm a blacksmith. It just like it sounds cool. So I was like, I understood my brother for that one. But
one that's not in the game though. Iron Lord. Like, why is there not an Iron Banner one?
I don't know where he's up there.
Name my podcast. That's the name of my podcast. I've been waiting. Iron Lord podcast.
Like, how do you already have that title?
How do Iron Banner doesn't
not have it already?
Yeah.
Like Iron Banner, they use him enough to like fill space and time. Give us a seal to chase. Give us a title. That seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
literally in the intro, Saladin, who's long overdue for an update. I threw it in there because, again, every time he comes back, it's just get some bounties done. Cool.
I remember claiming like 5,000 tokens for the Reese Walker recently, and I still didn't get a god roll.
Oh my god!
I was like, God damn, man!
How many did you get in that number of tokens? Like, how many rolls did you get?
Not even that many. I think like less than 10.
Yeah.
Wow. Which is
whole
crazy,
thing,
man.
And the way trials got redone recently, that minimum needs to happen at Iron Banner alone, but something cooler would be nice. But if nothing else, a little more directed grind would be good.
especially now that they've done this weird split where like you have to play Iron Banner now because on the weekend there's no trials when that week's on. It's just really, I don't know.
I was like, I know we had a pretty heated debate when Paul was on. It got quite like spicier than ever. If anybody listened to that one, it was all in fun, by the way. So it was like some people were like, I was like, hey, we had fun. Devil's advocates. It's always a good time. But I have never in my life, when Iron Banner was here over the weekend, been like, kind of wish Trials was here too.
Yeah,
and I'm going like, I'm sorry, who am I?
I
never thought that was going to happen.
Me too.
It's like it's a fun loot grind now, isn't it? Like they've made it more. I mean, it's obviously pretty much. You know, my nan could probably go flawless now, though. That's the problem. Like, it's so easy.
Wow, that doesn't put me very high then. If your nan's going, I got to step my game up because she's beating me. So
hey, don't underestimate his nan,
easier.
first of all. Yeah, but it's it's very easy.
She's like an elite gamer
not
over
an
here.
end game activity as we discussed at
Tom's nan is a MLG pro. He just doesn't tell anybody.
Former Halo pro.
What's going on with this game, Eve?
Yeah, I was going to say, so we actually are at a really good time to talk about, basically we've got the delay actually worked. I know, thank God everything works still, but the week delay works. We actually finished our quest. So I want to touch, because we didn't get to talk last week about like the conversation everybody was dreading. And then this week, kind of wrapping everything up with the Shattered Realm and actually getting all the witches and kind of, I wanted to see where you guys landed in Tom. Techians, sorry.
Don't call them witches, okay? That's like
they're tech witches.
Term. Bro, that's like calling Tusken Raider sand people, okay? You're not allowed to do that, bro.
All right, so we're gonna go with Techians. Anyways, we have 7 of them sitting there. Mara's still sitting over there at her console, twiddling her thumbs, waiting. But anyway, we did finish the quest. I wanted to ask you guys where you kind of stand after last week experiencing the conversation, seeing how everything went down, getting like the interaction with the intercom console thing. Tom, just because you are a guest, I wanted to get your thoughts on it first, as we kind of did finish the story beats, at least for a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's good that Crow finally knows who he is. Like, I don't know how he didn't know anyway, because surely someone should have told him, or he found out. Or, I don't know.
We were only allotted 7 words per season. So we couldn't explain it in that. We don't talk, do we?
Ever? Twitter limit is too small.
Yeah. So it's good that they finally done that. But now it opens up the question of like, where's Crow? You know, where does Crow's story go? Like, I know that I think a bunch of people think they're gonna kill him off. I just don't see that they'd do that. Like, why would they build up that story and then just kill him off?
He's going to be the reason Savathun escapes, I assume. That's kind of
it seems like. But do you think the Queen or Savathun will turn him back? Like,
a lot of good questions here. A lot of good questions.
I think Mara's going to be too busy being dead to help him with that. That's my theory.
Well, we'll get to it, but her city's going to be there, so she might not die now. I'm wondering about that.
Right.
Someone's going to die though, right? This season.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's got 8. He's got 8. Yeah, he's got 8 legs.
Minimum Osiris.
I was gonna say he's got 8 legs. I think that guy's dying. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah, like I'm glad they've wrapped that up. But then now that part of the story's finished, and you know we're kind of waiting to see what happens with Savathun and stuff. What are we doing for the next? Was it 5 months now? Like, what's the story now?
Yeah,
getting Galahorn.
Yeah,
you got 2 months on that
Halo
one.
dungeon as well. Like that was the
little crossover.
Yeah,
the marathon Halo throwback Bungie dungeon.
Yeah, I think the dungeon's called Halo Infinite. We're all going to be in that. For a couple months.
You go in there and you've got like a warthog and a DMR, and you're driving down like.
And then you're like, wait, this isn't Destiny. I'm playing Halo Infinite right now. Whoops.
But like they're writing, I like going back to when Destiny first launched. Like the way they had to like split that up and the writing, and it was all. I think I never really followed the story properly at the beginning, to be honest, because it was very confusing.
Very convoluted.
It was, yeah. But their writing over the past year, especially, like it's been very good.
They finally gave those grimoire writers a job on the game. That's what it seems like.
Yeah,
because the grimoire writing has always been so good, and then you look at the writing in the game, and you're like, really? I don't have time to explain. Well, I don't have time to explain. This is awful. Who is writing this stuff? So
Yeah, and like, but do we think Crow will be the Hunter Vanguard?
I think so. I think so. I think
I
it's
kind of think
inevitable.
so.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think they want this position to be earned. That's the vibe I get from the writing team. They in some long roundabout way, because they have literally delayed this, story for so long. The Hunter Vanguard has been absent, obviously, since Cade's passing, and it needs to be filled. But it is interesting the route they're going, because I'm with you, Tom. I'm very curious that, especially with the way things have ended now. He's been revealed, which is rare. Like, no one generally knows their past life, prior to a Guardian. Now that he has that information, what turn does that make? What turn does it? What happens? Because he clearly looked at Savathun / Osiris as this father figure, right? So, is he going to do something rash also, right? So it's very interesting to see. I want to know where they go. How is this going to transition with him specifically into Witch Queen? That's the interesting part. And last part I'll say is that the vibe they're giving us with the Techians, and like now the ritual to exercise the worm, Savathun is crystallized. Hilarious conversation with Savathun and Mara. I thought she was like, Savathun is just digging and digging. I thought you was the smartest in the room. I thought you was this. I thought you that. Shut up. Like that. I just like the cat fight going on between them two. It's a lot of posturing, but at the end of the day, I do want to see, because they've alluded that while this ritual is happening, that we're going to have to protect it, because Ziva Arath is going to try to somehow interfere and interrupt. But yeah, I'm very curious what is Crow's role with this situation, and eventually, in my opinion, how does he become Hunter Vanguard, and if that title happens in Witch Queen or whatever. What do you guys think?
Travis is shaking his head.
Yeah. I think they're done with the Vanguard. I honestly think that they're telling you they're sort of deconstructing all of the old stuff. Like, they got rid of factions in sort of like one sentence in last season. And I don't think that they've really been concerned about who the Hunter Vanguard is, because the Vanguard has sort of been irrelevant for a long time. And I think Vanguard's probably the next thing to go from the game. Like, it's not going to matter when the darkness is killing everybody, like who has the office job with the title. You know what I mean?
Are you saying it's going into the content vault?
That's right. Yeah.
We'll get there in a second.
But yeah, I really would be surprised if they were like, all right, he gets this official title and this role and responsibility. I just think Destiny's beyond that point where like you're chilling at the tower and like people are giving you orders and stuff like that. I think it's just going to be like, after Savathun, it's going to be like, all right, we're in the final stretch here. Like, things are chaotic. We're fighting a war. Like, it's not like, who cares who's doing what at the tower? And I would be surprised if a lot of people said like, oh, Makora might die in the next season or whatever. I don't think that's probably going to happen, but I do think that the old model for how things have existed in Destiny isn't going to be relevant anymore. That'd be my guess anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder, like, there's always been leaks about the tower changes and stuff. Like, I wonder if we're finally going to see that get blown up or something.
See, that's what I guess I was wondering about too, because Travis was saying something about the Vanguard, and we'll get into it when we talk about the Destiny content vault of what's leaving. But I sat there and I stared at the helm when I was getting ready to like make my video for that, and it's like, there's a lot of things in here and a lot of characters based around this season. Are any of those going to stay? And there was this rumor. Somebody got into the modeling or something, like the game files of, spoiler warning, by the way, that I have no idea if this is anything, but it was like the idea that the helm was like this detachable ship. I feel like I heard that at some point, like the helm is actually something that could be potentially, and it's on the director as its own node at this point. Correct. And it might just not be connected to the tower anymore on grounded. It could be something that actually like floats or something like, so it's like, if it ever got to that point, and that's just kind of like, where we do things from going forward. If the tower gets blown up, something happens, who knows? I could see that kind of happen. At least it feels like they set up a little shit, like basically because you got a vault in there, you got a postmaster, you got a little bit of it. You just need like Rahul in the corner next to Crow or something like that. But outside of that, you can probably find places for most people in there. Mm-hmm. and it would give them a way to kind of do something drastic to the tower again, kind of as we've been through before.
Yeah.
Which again, as Travis would say,
it's a good theory.
It would be nice
because I've been confused why there's basically 2 towers and one of them's useful and one of them's not useful. Like that's having to.
You have to do the whole back and forth, don't you?
Yeah,
it's annoying.
Well, now I need to decrypt my Engrams.
Yeah, especially for Prime. Yeah, for Prime Engrams, it's annoying. I got to keep going back. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, just all that combined. So I'd like to see some big shift like that if we're going into this finale trilogy for the saga of Light and Dark and all that stuff that they're going through. If they do something like a tower shift up going in, like Savathun does something crazy, I don't know, but that would be kind of a nice way to, as Travis said, like have the Vanguard. Maybe they're not as important, and it's more of kind of this combination of just like allies as opposed to a Vanguard having any power authority. It's just like Guardians, Cabal, Mithrax, and the House of Light, and just all of the forces that are working with us somehow have a place to meet, and all the NPCs are in one area, and you're not running around this crazy big tower for kind of no point half the time. Oh, I got to go do something in Gambit. Like, I already don't like going to Gambit. Why do I have to run all the way down there just to go talk to the Drifter anyway? It's like, are we ever going to get more out of that guy? His lines are always hilarious, but he's just sitting down there and kind of, at the bottom of the barrel of the tower. So it's just interesting.
And if the helm floats, like say it's floating, then this should bolt onto it. And what this is more vault space. Please.
Yes, I am the worst on that one. I have an emote. I literally have an emote on Twitch that is like my cheetah's eyes, like peeking out through a whole bunch of engrams. I finally had JoJo make that one because my vault, my postmaster, my characters, everything is my vault space, and I never have enough.
Fix collections. Just fix collections.
Well, that would help too.
Don't worry about vault space.
Just let us delete it. Like say I've got a hand cannon. I've killed that roll off. I could just build it again. Out of collections.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Just let's do that.
You should be able to designate a role for all of your weapons and armor.
Like as long as you've actually got that role.
As long as you've acquired it,
you should be able to recreate it.
Yeah. Totally. If they did collections right, I don't even think we would need a vault at all.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Maybe for a few extra roles that aren't in your collection role. But
I know that the vault space is specifically on the technical side. It's actually tied to the amount of memory on the consoles. Yeah,
it's like they say that, but I was like, the PS4 got to be able to manage a little bit. And I know we'll get into all the technical. Yeah. We're going to get into the technical discussions because we have some opinions about all that stuff here. So I guess this probably works as good a segue as any when it comes to technical space. We got to talk about this because they dropped the TWAB, but they dropped something before this yesterday, and it's all about the update to the Destiny Content Vault. And there are opinions to be had on Twitter. If you look for them, it's not too hard to find them. And it really is a question of kind of what everybody, every time this comes up, it's always like this debate of like the technical limitations over what they're trying to do, and they go through it all. And they even have said in the top of it, before we cover what's coming, what's going, I just want to read the top so you have this in the back of your mind, because this is where Bungie is coming from as to the why they do this. So they say, last summer we introduced the Destiny Content Vault as part of our commitment to the future of Destiny 2. The DCV was created to help us achieve our vision for the game through our trio of upcoming expansions and beyond, which they keep hinting at. By cycling select content into the DCV, the team has been able to focus on bringing you new activities and adventures at an incredible pace, with weekly updates that introduce new gameplay wrinkles, new activities to enjoy, and that push the Destiny narrative forward. The impact of the DCV can be seen throughout Destiny 2, from very popular new activities such as Battlegrounds that have persisted throughout Year 4, to innovations that have made the routine experience from Destiny better for every player. For example, the DCV has provided a great deal of technical breathing room that the team has devoted to important improvements to the Destiny experience. Upgrades such as drastically reducing our patch response times, improved loading times, quicker access to the UI such as your inventory or the map, and others link directly to the opportunities that DCV has created for the team. Today, we wanted to give an update on our content strategy for the near future of Destiny 2 and pave the way for the Witch Queen expansion. So they want to give you the technical reasons as to why, but even before I get into what's going on with what's coming and going, I know I wanted to start with COG on this one because the technical stuff, you were talking to someone specific about this, and there's debates about other games and things of that nature. So I know you were talking to a friend of yours, and there's debates about if this is required, what other games do. So I wanted to give it to you just because I knew this is kind of something you were itching to discuss. So you're up first, sir.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, this is a hot one. I want to shout out the amazing Hogue Law, and I want to shout out my boy Dom. He's a financial analyst as well on Twitter. Good follows, and it's a point of contention. And right now, the issue comes down to obviously the reasoning why they're saying they're doing it. We had the DCV introduced to us, right before that. I believe it was the start of Beyond Light, I'm going to say. Right. So, right around Beyond Light, we were told the reasoning that we were told the game size is getting too big. We were told that they would also reprise older Destination and bring them back. And then, we lost weapons and so on and so forth. And we were told things would be introduced. Then at that point, things were quote unquote reintroduced from the weapon standpoint, but not at the frequency that the Destiny community liked. We felt there was a disparity. The sunsetting kind of went away. And then, here we are. So at the end of the day, it's two trains of thought here. Hogue's thought is he does not believe in the reasoning that, there's a technical limitation or reasoning, and that at the end of the day, the argument is no other game takes away content and then, makes you continue to pay. It's something that is not really, if we look at other, if we want to call Destiny an MMO or MMO Lite or whatever, that it's not equated. And then, to Dom's point, and I was looking at it's very amazing argument on Twitter. He was just like, look, who am I to say that? Obviously, they've introduced new content consistently. And, they're saying the reasons why. And then we talked about the Tiger engine, right? This engine that has been around from its inception. And me, obviously before Travis, we've had this conversation as well as far as, the desire to update it, because we're not going to say it's spaghetti code going on, right? We don't know the aspects of it, but the desire for it to, be updated. So maybe they don't have these technical issues. Maybe we can get dedicated servers. So that's kind of the basis of it. I have my thoughts on it, but I want to just kind of, that's really what the argument is. Because people are, shout out to my editor-in-chief. I got to shout out Josh Redding from lordsofgaming.net. He's very animate. He's like, this is a mistake, getting rid of the Tangled Shore. And, it's a very passionate argument. People are like, no other game's doing it, but Bungie's hustling us. And, then there's the other side, that is like, other games, have done this. And this is not as big a deal. And people are fear mongering, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna bring it to y'all, that I'm gonna say my thoughts, but that's kind of what's going on. There is a legit civil war, I guess, going on with this topic.
May not be quite as dramatic, but Travis, I know, shaking his head over there, so he's got a thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first, not only have other games done this, but almost every game does this now, because almost all games have an online element, and the online element inevitably goes away when they take the servers down. Go try to play a game like a Call of Duty from 10 years ago. The servers won't be live. You won't be able to access any of those maps or play the game. Part of the user agreement now is that games change. And I also don't really like the argument that no other game does this, or that we've not seen this in the past with older games, because the genre of gaming is changing dramatically, and the stuff that Destiny is doing with seasonal content and that sort of stuff, that's sort of a new model, and there's not really an answer to it. Older games were maybe coming out with one or two expansions, like Skyrim, and then no more content. Destiny has new content every week. You can't just put all of that in the game. So I will say I agree with Hogue that I don't believe the technical limitation part. I really don't. I think it's more a matter of, I think it's more of a matter of consolidating all of the players around a couple activities, rather than having 9,000 activities and splitting the player base 50 different ways. I don't think that. I think that's probably the bigger problem. When they say technical limitation, they're sort of being intentionally vague because they could do it. It's more of a matter of, to them, it's not worth it, and the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. But I personally am not a fan of people taking away content from people who've purchased it. I 100% get that argument. I'm a reviewer, so my job is to speak on behalf of the player, and I don't think that that's a fair deal. But I think you can say that, and then you can also look at like Fortnite and the events that they do, and you can't replay those if you miss them. They're live events where, you know, the whole universe gets sucked into a black hole or whatever. Like there's some of Destiny that you're not really paying for, you're just getting. You know what I mean? And I think that those things they have a right to like remove from the game. Obviously people did buy Forsaken, and it sucks to see it taken out of the game, but Bungie's also being pretty transparent about it, right? They're being like, hey, this is a decision we're making. We told you that this was going to happen a while ago. We're now telling you that ahead of time so you have time to play it. And also, it's probably not forever. There's probably going to be like a, hey, remember Forsaken callback where they take it out of the content vault and they'll let you play it again at some point in the future. Do we really think we've seen the last of it? We all know how much Destiny loves reusing their old content. You know, like, do we really think this is going to be the last time we play through the Forsaken campaign? So I just think there's a little bit of overreaction. I 100% get why people are upset, because it's like the most beloved campaign. It breathed new life into Destiny, just like the Taken King did for vanilla Destiny 1. But I think probably by the time we've played through the new campaign, we won't care as much.
I have a question before we pass it out to Tom and everyone. I don't play other MMOs, so I do have a question. Like, what game, just for the sake of fairness, like what game has taken out content that's kind of like either MMO or MMO like? 'Cause I don't know. I'm just asking.
The two big ones that I can think of, like Final Fantasy 14 is kind of a special one. It died hard. They have not. World of Warcraft has started with like, I don't know how much, I don't know if they've ever actually taken out anything that they've added. Now they have probably gone through and they've done the Cataclysm where they've like reworked areas, but they've never like gone through and stripped campaigns to my understanding. Like if you go level 1 to 60 in World of Warcraft, I don't know if that experience is exactly the same. It might be more streamlined, but I know there have definitely been variations of like the Witch Queen added in, like, not Witch Queen, sorry, wrong game. What am I thinking of now? What's the snow one? It's like one of Lich King. I wasn't far.
There you go.
Very close.
Yeah, the Wrath of the Lich King that was in like the wintry area. Like that was a bigger piece too, and they added stuff. And I know Cataclysm came through and took the two main worlds and like drove half a volcano up the middle of them. So I mean, they revamped stuff.
Okay.
But it's like to take, and it's different for me. I guess I'm gonna just steal my time here anyway.
Yeah, and then we get time after. Yeah.
But it's like Final Fantasy 14, to my understanding, like what is free in that game is the initial like campaigns and expansions that you go through, and you can play like 100 hours or something is my understanding there. And then you can finally get into what's current, which you can actually pay for. And then like Endwalker's coming this year, which is supposed to be apparently a huge thing as well. But 14 has the whole thing that you can play from start to finish. So the question all there.
Right. Go ahead, Travis.
The caveat there is that it's a terrible experience. You have to play through 100
whether the experience
hours.
is terrible is irrelevant. The question is it there or not?
I'm saying it's bad because they haven't taken it out. Like if you want to play with your friends, the process is, all right, catch up on 100 hours of gameplay. Right. And so imagine that in Destiny, right? Like that would be an awful experience. And so I think it's just different ways of doing it. Like in Final Fantasy, they're like, all right, you want to play current? Play every single campaign. It's mandatory. We're not taking it out of the game. And some people have, myself included, because I don't have that kind of time, wish that they would have just lopped that off, gotten rid of it, and give me a way to kind of jump to the current stuff. And so that's why I bring it up. I'm not talking about the content being bad. Actually, the Final Fantasy campaigns are pretty good in Final Fantasy 14. I just mean the experience of catching up is awful in Final Fantasy 14.
So that's kind of the thing for, I was just going to say for me is, picture the new player experience being even more disjointed than it already is when they strip out Forsaken. Because now you have Crow, you don't even get to see his backstory because you can't play the campaign. And if they use him as a character going forward, that is a piece of the story. Like, you can't play the Red War campaign anymore. We already know that's gone. And then you've also got now the Forsaken campaign, which is one of the coolest ones with the Barons, the fights. The Tangled Shore is going to be gone. I understand, like, if they're going after technical pieces where it's like, hey, we have to debug that this weapon works in all places. For some reason, this weapon breaks, like, has a game-crashing bug now when you go play the Forsaken campaign. I get those pieces, but it's the experiences that they built that new players won't be able to experience. Like, as you said, Travis, if in 14 you have to play 150 hours to play with your friends, that's not the best. If there's like a streamlined button to catch up to friends, that would be good. But the fact that you can't understand, you can't go play the backstory that other people have because it's gone. That's, I think, the part, and the fact that they're still selling it right now. When this announcement came out, I feel like, and this is going to open up another point, I feel like it should be live or free today. I mean, they're going to make the Forsaken camp, and the raids are going to be there, and Dreaming City is going to be there, but it's also 3 years old at this point. Like, if you're going to give people 5 months or you're going to give the campaign in 3 months, I feel like the whole thing should be free at this point. Forsaken, it's old enough that, like, hey, if you come play Destiny right now, you can experience the Forsaken campaign and everything the Dreaming City has to offer for free, and you're still going to then buy the Witch Queen for $100, which is plenty of stuff that's going to help. I just don't think having Forsaken sitting on Steam right now for $25 is a fair dollar amount at all at this point, because that's
for sure.
That's too much. Somebody said they bought it for like $8 on Twitter. I was like, oh yeah, keep that. That's fine. But like, $25, that doesn't seem right to me at this point, as it has an end date that is not, you know, it's less than 6 months away. And it's just the fact that, like, it's one of the coolest stories in Destiny that we got to see with Cade go away. It's kind of his send-off. Sorry, spoiler alert if you're too late to that one. But also the fact that you get to see, like, the Barons and Crow, you get to see him, Riven, all of those pieces that are now actually coming into a real important piece of the story right now. You have no way to go back to that. And I know we're not going to be able to go back
into to do the raid, right?
The raid will be there.
Last Wish will exist.
Well, that's going to be even more out of context than it is now.
Right. Well, let's get Tom.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, I know we rambled, but I was like,
we ran. We got to get our esteemed guest.
I think this all comes down to a couple of things: how you value art personally as a player, and then Bungie's business models, which are a little bit hectic for Destiny, because you are paying for DLC content. And then you're paying for like a battle pass essentially, and I don't think you can really have both these days.
Yeah,
I think
don't forget that.
Microtransactions. Yeah,
that's what Hulk says.
I think this whole like mixture, this hybrid of like revenue opportunities for them, like they wanted to go free to play, the Activision split, whatever, all that sort of stuff. We don't have to go into that, but they obviously had a particular direction where they felt like they could monetize the game. And perhaps it hasn't really fully gone one way or the other, and they kind of still trying to work out the revenue mix. And I think that's the tension that we're seeing in the game over the past sort of couple of years or whatever. I think that's the biggest problem at the moment. They need to figure that out, because when they're doing this content vaulting thing, it feels like they're taking content away from you. But on the flip side, it's how do you value that content? Like if I go to the cinema, I see a James Bond film, and then 3 years later it's on TV. I don't go, I was ripped off, like that's, it's on TV for free. Like I don't do that, right? Like, because I've had those that hour, that 3 hours of fun, and I've experienced that. And then I've forgotten about it. I might want to watch it again, maybe, but I might not. And I think that's the kind of same here in a sense. Like, I don't go onto Tangle Shore much. I'm not going to miss that. I have the memories of that, and it was great. And the amount of hours that I've got out of that, whatever, $30 was like hugely valuable for me. So I don't feel like I own that. And that's another point, is that you don't. I think if you're playing Destiny, you feel like you own the content, and you're going to go play it in 10 years. You're going to go come back to it. You're playing the wrong game if you have that approach to this game, really. Because it's just kind of not what the game is. But Bungie's never really truly like Forsaken is a good part of this, because that was where they kind of really tried to adapt to this whole live game. Like they said the world's going to change. It has, and it hasn't though. Like they haven't really built upon that. They have a lot of promises, like we said earlier. There's always a promise for this game, but they haven't really fully gone in one direction or the other. And it speaks to me there must be internal, struggles. Like directors want to go one way, and all of that sort of stuff. And I think they need to figure all this out. Like they need to figure out their revenue. They need to figure it out. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, the content vault. I think players just need to understand the type of game that they're actually playing. And like Travis said, you like the Xbox is great for backwards compatibility. I can go and play a Call of Duty game from 10 years ago, a 360 game. I can, but the servers don't really work properly, and the game just is not a great experience. It's like I've missed that time to really play the great aspects of that game. And that's definitely going to be Destiny, like even more so. Like the stuff's all going to be missing, and the content's not there. But yeah, like I think that Bungie just needs to be a bit more clear about their direction. I spoke to like Joe and the guys a few weeks ago.
What was the vibe?
We talked about a few of these issues, particularly the new player aspect, because I feel like they've really screwed that up.
That's what I was going to go next.
Yeah, like that's one of probably the worst parts of this game is that we can all sit here, we know the game, we love the game, we've played hours and hours, but like if you're new to this game, you get thrown in, it's really hard to play.
That's what I was going to say.
So hard to understand. The story is like all over the place. That's going to get obviously worse as content gets removed.
He's back.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
I saw it like.
I was like, "That's me. What's happening?"
No, you're good. No water. The water is good. We're good.
That's what I'm saying. So that's obviously going to get worse. And like, how do they tackle that? And they've spoken about how they've been able to afford to do like really great content, like dungeons and stuff like that, just through basically selling like skins and stuff, which is great. Like I don't mind that stuff's in the game. I don't mind that people buy stuff to customize. I think that's a good model. But they need to work out what they want to do. Do they want to? Do they almost want to charge us monthly to play this game? Like, is that what's going to come to?
Times.
Like stop charging us all these different places. Like, figure out where you actually want to make money. And one of the points I made to Joan, I was like, please just like start sending emblems in the store. Like, have a creator-driven experience where I can create an emblem as a community member and sell that. You take a cut, all that sorts. Because one thing that they really do well is like they demonstrate in the TWAB every week people's artistic skills and the creators and the community stuff. But they never really pick up on that social aspect of the game enough and bring it into the game. You know, like it's like DIM's a third party thing. Like all these really cool experiences out of the game that help you play the game are never really in the game. Like they don't really embrace them enough. Have I gone again?
Oh, we lost him. He's in the shattered realm. He's in the shattered. Oh, he's back.
There you go.
I know what's happening.
Here, hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can switch our Discord server to see if I can get us a little more.
We doing it live? Oh no!
Everybody, hold on.
Discord
more water on the podcast? No. All right.
We'll try that.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch in the middle. I put it to the East Coast, so
okay, so we're going to that UK
West
flow.
Coast and
That's
UK.
That's
probably what it is.
Because it was central. That's where I'm at because I sit between these two.
Yeah, it is what it. I mean, look, these are. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, Tom.
There was a lot there, a lot of cans that I just opened, but like I think that the way that they make money in this game is the core thing. And like you said, you don't like someone doesn't believe the technical aspects, nor do I. Like I do to a certain extent. So their engine is a little dated. I think we've seen that. They haven't. They're as a team. They clearly haven't. I don't want to be rude about like Bungie, but they clearly don't really have any idea how to build a game for PC, because they obviously had Vicarious Visions doing that before. And they've really struggled, and obviously the anti-cheat kind of speaks itself.
Oh yeah,
are you implying that there was an issue with cheating on PC, Tom? Are you implying?
No, it's fine. But there's just so many little things, like even like the CVAR files sometimes corrupt. Basic stuff. And there's obvious like missed opportunities there and just missing knowledge there. And I think that all just adds up. And I feel like they just need to work out like how they're going to make their money out of this game going forward, and like where it's going to go. So
the model. This is an interesting one because again, for me, it's just there's two trains of thought, and selfishly, as a hardcore Destiny player, I don't care about the Tango show anymore. Honestly, I'm gonna be brutally honest. Like when the news came out, I shout out to Tassie who we've had the week before. In my mind, the Dreaming City was out of here. I was like, damn, they're probably gonna wrap up the story. Savathun is connected to the Dreaming City. And personally, the Dreaming City hits hard for me because I think you even said it at one point, Tom, where, you're playing Forsaken. And let's be real, the thought was the Barons, we're going to be stuck in Tangle Shore. And then this magical thing happens with this talisman. You unlock it and you're into this beautiful world of the Dreaming City. And in my opinion, it's the best play space they've ever created. The best sandbox from a visual standpoint, aesthetic standpoint, the raid, the connection, the cycle of the curse. like it is truly a spectacular thing. The music, the chants, it's just beautiful. I just love that space. So for me, I'm like, okay, they're keeping that. And then I'm like, all right, why do I still go to the Tango Shore today? Again, this is selfish cognito. This is selfish. I'm just telling you right now. I don't go there unless it's for Spider. Like, I'm like, okay, Spider, what's the exchange rates today? Yeah. All right, Glimmer. All right, who? It's the Spiral, Spin Metal, Shards. You know what I'm saying? So that was really my only thing. So when I'm hearing that it's going to Raul's responsibility, rest in peace, Spider. I don't know what's going to happen to you, but it don't look good.
He's done for.
Yeah, so for me, I'm like, okay, cool. But then I said, all right, Cog, stop being selfish. I know you play this game every day, but there are new players, right? And the only thing it sucks, what kind of leads me back to what E is saying, which is this is really terrible for a new player. Like for a new player, you literally have no idea of Crow's development. You know, for a new player, the connection to the story, who Crow becomes, the whole history of Aldrin, that part sucks. And even prior to what he said, he saw a point, made another good point, which is the Red War campaign, right? There's really no way to replay these narrative beats. And that's the struggle. Like, how do they do that? I've heard suggestions of like, well, maybe it's some like offline downloadable thing. And, you know, I don't know the technical solution. I don't know how they can fix that. And it's just, they're in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot because there's the other part that I will defer. I'll give it back to you, Top, because I know you want to comment. The other part that I do empathize with them is when you have a character like Crow. To me, it is a disjointed narrative experience when we're talking to the Crow, right? And we're doing this, but if I go to the Tangled Shore, he's still in there in the back with the old suit, not realizing he's Crow, right? So it's just this disjointedness, and they're in a spot. But I'll give it back to you, Ty. You seem like you wanted to comment on that part.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on like the technical stuff of like of all of this. Like, I don't believe it's like fully technical. So if it was like game size, for example, you could just take it out and make it an optional download. Like there's easy ways to do that, right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's just if it was purely
there are ways,
yeah. Like Warzone did that. I don't think it's that, but what I do think is it is part of their engine. And like, I think it's still on like some, I can't remember what the name is, but it's still basically Halo. Yeah, it's still like a Halo Reach level sort of engine, right? And I think it's scaled relatively well, but it's showing its age. And I think some of the stuff they want to do with the game, like I'm sure they'd love to do ray tracing in this game.
Oh,
like, can you imagine? Like, it looks great even without it, but can you imagine what it looked like with it? Like, it would be probably the best showcase that we've had for that. So in order to do that sort of stuff, you can't have all of these planets that people spend, you know, an hour on a month just hanging around that they have to go and update. Like we've seen them do this with maps and like in multiplayer, and they bring back the maps and they look amazing compared to how they used to do in Destiny. Yes, obviously because they've updated for their engine changes. And so, yes, they might bring this content back eventually, but I think it's more a conscious fact of like someone tweeted me yesterday. They were like, "I can't believe this." And I was like, "Yeah, but when was the last time you were on the Tangled Shore?" And they were like, "I spent 5 hours on the Tangled Shore yesterday." So I was like, you know, stalker hat on. I was like, Destiny tracker. And I was like, no, you didn't.
Receipts. Oh, you brought up the receipts.
Like, no, you didn't. You weren't even on the Tangled Shore yesterday. You haven't been on the Tangled Shore for like a month. And it's
I like Tom journalism. He pulled out the receipts on you. I like that.
It's like people think they really like need this content because they have that emotional experience,
a connection
to it. A connection, which is fair enough. But like, I think it's like anything in Destiny. Like, there's an emotional part of the community who reacts, and then in a year's time, everyone will forget because the experiences they're having right then will be like 100%. So much better.
I won't push back for jokes on one thing though. we gotta rest in peace to one of the greatest lost sectors ever.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah. The Fallen nightclub.
The hope for the future.
The hope for the future, bro. Come on, man. Like, where the Fallen go party at now?
That's right. They're over there in the Elixir camp next to the Helm Tower or something like that. They're in the last city.
Yeah.
Just need
It's always a shame when this stuff goes.
I know.
It's like, so okay, let me cover what's actually leaving the game.
Go. Sorry.
And what's staying. No, and then we'll kind of break down what the nostalgia hits are actually going to be. So beginning in February, basically Tangled Shore, whole destination is going there. Most things with the year 4 seasonal content are going, so you can picture the expunge missions, override missions. We've got exotic quests. Sadly, Presage is one that hurts for me. You've also got Harbinger. You've got the whole Tangled Shore destination, including the Bruithold strike. You've also got the Hollowed Lair going away. We are keeping Warden of Nothing. That one is staying, but Tangled Shore will no longer be there, so it's just going to kind of be dumped into the Vanguard list, which we'll talk about in a second. We've also got the Coup de Grace mission out there in the Dreaming City that nobody's probably done in ages. That was from the High Celebrant hunt. We're going to be missing now Shattered Realm. We're going to be losing the Astral Alignment missions. And I don't even know what the helm is going to look like. That's kind of one big question as well. But yeah, the Tangled Shore is gone, and pretty much everything in year 4 minus Battlegrounds, which are going into the Vanguard Strikes playlist as the Vanguard Operations playlist, which that's a positive. I know that'll give some, variety, at least in that playlist, because there's 4 of those in there. So if you do run strikes, you're like, oh, it's not a strike, it's got a little thing. So that will be a positive. So we're keeping Battlegrounds, keeping Warden of Nothing, and I feel like there was one other major piece I'm forgetting for what's staying, but most of year 4,
the Dreaming City and all that stuff.
Yeah, the Dreaming City is staying. Yeah, it's that destination.
The raid stays, right? Oh no, do we lose the raid? Or
no, the whole Dreaming City. Dreaming City,
we're keeping the raid and the Shattered Throne.
So the dungeon is capped. Shadow.
Yeah,
Yep.
The Dreaming City is staying complete. Dreaming City stays as is. The only thing you're going to lose from there is like Astral Alignment and the Coup de Grace, basically the 2 seasonal things that we've got from this year. But the actual city, the destination, the raid, the dungeon, secrets, all of the Dreaming City is actually going to stay around.
Gotcha.
Can I completely derail this conversation?
Yes,
I'm a little worried, but go for it.
I see some people in the comments talking about the future War Cult gear, and can I just say that's something that needs to go into the content vault, is the future War Cult. I was in the tower this week, and I saw some hunter with a future War Cult cape, and I was like, oh my god, you might as well have the Confederate flag on your back over there.
Wow.
These guys seceded from the Vanguard, and you're walking around in this cape. That's a hate crime, sir. So anyway,
shout out to Lakshmi.
Lakshmi is
out here making the tower great again. Get rid of those evil fallen.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the tower, and there's going to be a statue of Lakshmi, and I'm going to be like, what? We're in town square? You got a statue of Lakshmi here? I'm going to start a protest. Take down the Lakshmi statue. Anyway, sorry. I just have to say, if you were a future war cult, I judge you. You're treading on my people's culture, and I'm very upset.
I am done.
They should at least turn the lights off. They should at least turn the lights off in the futuristic coffee shop up there. They should probably turn those lights off, because that one's
the evil Starbucks in there.
Yeah,
with
the evil Starbucks, the coffee shop where all the meetings went down. I was like, I'll start just for everything that's leaving. Oh, we're keeping the Proving Ground strike because that's over on Nessus as well. So that's kind of Battlegrounds related anyway.
Random derail. How did Nessus survive? If anything need to go, how is Nessus still here?
It's because isn't that the only place that they can really put Zer half the time?
There's 3 places for Zer. They're starting to run out. Yeah, he's on.
You know what? It's
Nessus,
probably
EDZ,
like
or the tower. And if it went down to 2, it'd be boring.
The base code for Destiny 2 is hidden in Nessus for some reason. You have to keep the destination or delete the entire Tiger engine.
That's the one I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be mad if you went. Like, I'm like, what? It's still here. Like, what do we really? Honestly, though, seriously, what's on Nessus still from either exotic quest or there's no raid there anymore? What's there?
It's just like there's probably a decent chunk. It's a decent chunk of strikes, I'm sure, because there's a certain number of strikes that you will lose. They're keeping Warden of Nothing, so we're really only losing 2 strikes. But the playlist is actually getting the Battlegrounds put in, so that playlist is actually kind of getting a +2, kind of surprisingly.
I don't go to any of these planets unless I'm forced to get a God Roll weapon to then go back into the Crucible tab.
Yeah, most people don't have a reason to go.
Tom. Speaking to my man after my own heart over here.
Like, you're making me play Gambit?
I'm sorry, E, to
refuse.
derail. I'm sorry. I just had to get my Nessus balls off.
it's fair because that's a question. But with Tangled Shore going away, Master Hool is going to be your currency exchanger, so you're going to be dealing with him a little more with the prime engrams. Well, I guess more reason to go to the tower. The one that hurts for me the most, and this is one I feel I wish they could keep, because for a second when I thought like Tangled Shore is going away, I was like, and then I figured out, okay, Warden of Nothing's staying, but that's kind of like Vex and Cabal. I was like, are they removing the Scorn? But I was like, took me a second. I was like, no, the Scorn are still in the Dreaming City. They're in the Lost Sector. They're still somewhat around. They're not as much because the Hollowed Lair is gone in the whole area. But I was like, so that's not it. So if the Scorn are staying, please, can you just put Presage in Legacy? Like even Harbinger, I don't love as much. Like Harbinger's cool. Don't get me wrong. I kind of like what you do in there, but when you try and solo that thing, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to miss going to Spider for Glimmer though.
now you're just now Rahul's going to be sitting over there on his pile of Glimmer.
They'll replace that.
And the little like clicky weird noises he makes and stuff.
Yeah, he's a great actor. That's the guy from
Am I the only
Gears
one
of War.
who thinks he'll survive? Like I think Mara's completely underestimating the Spire, and he'll be fine. That's my.
We gotta see.
I mean, maybe he'll get away, but they're definitely setting up some way to either kill him or send him off into like the ether of like unknown story future.
I mean, he had snared a guardian in his employ. I feel like he's a little craftier than she thinks.
Could be.
I'm glad they're keeping
also,
Last
I think
Wish.
She'll be dead. So
Last Wish, yes.
So
like,
Dreaming City stays. Yep.
That raid is so hard that Destiny players had to run into a wall to complete it. You know, like they couldn't actually do it legitimately.
Legit, they had to literally cheat.
And day one, like they did it in like 23 hours and something.
Well, it was like Vlad's was like 18. There were, and then 24 hours and 2 minutes is always the infamous Dado. So they were the first two, I think. So yeah, there were not many. The first, like Last Wish is the hardest one they've ever done.
I feel like the Forsaken era and that raid was like when Destiny was more difficult for PvE.
Yeah,
that was like and a lot of that wasn't Anthem coming out at the time. Like I feel like the team was like super like, we need to have the best content we've ever had because we've got a challenge.
I feel like they always have some sort of competitor. Anthem, Division.
When they have competition, they do their best work.
But that was also Activision, multiple studios, and that was like those were the biggest seasons we ever got because we got 3 raids, we got 3 big seasons. I mean, that was the biggest year we're ever going to have due to obviously the scale of studios they had helping. So again, when you say Tangled Shore, Dreaming City, you get the Last Witch, which is like the biggest raid they've ever literally put together, and then you have the seasons of the Forge. We'll skip over the Drifter, and then also you got Opulence and all that stuff. You have 3 raids in 1 year. It's like that was insane.
Yeah.
That
I think
scale
we'll have
was
a bigger
crazy.
Season.
Oh, you think so?
When Bungie becomes as big as Activision, it's only a matter of time.
I mean, Activision may start falling apart at any point, but that's a discussion for a whole other podcast. Anyway,
Tom, we interrupted you. I'm sorry. You're about to say
I was going to say that one thing that I really would love for Destiny to get back to is like the secrecy. Like, like the data mining stuff it kind of does ruin the game a little bit. Yeah. But I loved it like when there was a secret new area that came out, like a secret new exotic, and like people would literally be calling me like, dude, you have to get online. Like it's Tuesday or it's just Wednesday, just random points. And they tried to do that with Bastion. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They kind of tried to do it and it kind of backfired because they'd already told people they were going to get Bastion. And then the Destiny community was like, I'm already getting it. It like had that weird reaction point. But I'd love for them to try and do some more of that because like
Presage was kind of like that, right?
Presage was pretty good
about it. And
it was so good.
Really good. I think they'll probably continue to do stuff like that. But apparently they have the technology to like black out certain parts of their code so it can't be mined. I remember they said they developed that tech. And I'm like, why aren't you using that? Why do I know about everything before it's in the game?
I agree. To me, peak secret was Whisper, though. Whisper was that was something special. I mean, your channel definitely benefited.
Oh yeah,
off of your amazing guide to help me. But Whisper was just prime time.
It also came at a very, very low point.
Yes.
It was like after Warmind, and it was like a couple weeks before I think we started talking about Forsaken as like the next expansion.
Yes.
I just remember like the entire community was like huddled around Destiny for the first time in a long time. Super in love with this new activity. And then everybody immediately after that was like, well, I'm going to go pre-order Forsaken. Like that was the ultimate push to pre-order Forsaken.
But originally it was Black Spindle, wasn't it, back in the day?
Ooh, Oh, blacksmith. Yes, yes.
Remember
I
that?
agree
That
with-
was the same sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was,
Oh, yeah.
it was that. Yeah, just the fact that
Amazing.
you
It was,
sign on and something had happened in the game,
Happens.
something live. It was that whole element, right? It's that
Yes.
live.
Yeah.
Something had changed that you weren't
Yep.
expecting.
I mean,
Wrath
it's
of
like,
the
I did a
Machines,
public
think,
event.
was the
What's
first
this?
time I remember.
Yeah.
Right, Wrath of the Machines, where there was that whole.
Oh, the thing with
Morse
yes,
code
the
and-
Morse
yeah,
code.
Remember
And
that?
the
Amazing.
Guardians used to
Yeah.
have those little spirally things over them, and
Yeah.
They had people
Yeah.
hunting in the woods for a care
Yes.
package. It was
Yes.
weird, man. That was
Yeah.
a crazy
Yes.
time in Destiny.
What was
Great
the time
time.
when Glad like spent about 3 days without washing or straight on
That
stream?
was,
I
stream
feel like he
himself
does that every
sleeping?
week, right?
Probably,
Isn't that just-
yeah.
Isn't that
But I
just
was gonna
Vlad?
s-
Isn't
yeah.
that just what he does?
Isn't that
What was
wasn't
that
that
time?
quarters?
When
Of,
was
that was
Shout out to
quarters,
Glenn.
right? Was that quarters that he did that? Quarters of time that he didn't
They were
sleep.
trying to unlock a door. I can't remember what it was called though.
Oh,
Remember they-
Season of Worthy.
Yeah.
That was the
Season
public
of-
event
Yeah.
farming they were doing to finish up for Rasputin.
No.
No. He's talking about the armory season.
All the
where there was
symbols,
that-
yeah.
There was
armory.
all the
Oh,
symbols and people
season
to
of the
shoot them with
armory,
the
yes.
bows.
Yeah, the
And,
one that
and you had
nobody
to
could
open that door to the
Yes.
final Black Forge.
Nobody could
or the
figure it
final
out.
Forge.
Yeah.
Bungie had to
yeah.
release the secret because no
That-
one could
that-
figure it out.
That was
Niobe
like
Labs,
the pinnacle.
Niobe
That was
Labs,
where they
Niobe-
went too
yeah.
far.
Yes,
No, they
yes.
went-
Thank you,
yeah, there
extra.
is a threshold, and they
Yeah.
exceeded the threshold.
Niobe Labs and all that, right? Was it?
But
And I
Yeah,
completed that with
that's so good.
Destin and Teddy like a year ago. We went back and we were like, let's go do that puzzle now that everybody knows how to do it. And it was still really irritating. We got through it,
Yeah.
but it was like, damn, this is like even with a guide, we were like, this is not that fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Niobe
like, I mean,
Labs, I think was it. Niobe Labs. Somebody said in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like Niobe Labs does bring up like the whole element of the Destiny community where it splits though, isn't it? Like into this is too easy or this is too hard sort of conversations. So it's-
Yeah.
PvE is
It's
always
tricky.
too easy. I do not understand the dude. Like Teddy is one of those guys. Like we've had Teddy on the show a bunch. He's one of those guys who says like, oh yeah, I'm one of the best PvE players. I got like 63rd on the Forsaken Last Wish raid, and I'm like, what does good at PvE even mean? Like, why is that? Is there such a thing as being good at PvE? Like
Coming
to me,
from
it's like
AE.
it's like bragging about like rock paper scissors or like checkers or it's just like, is that even like a competitive? Do people care about that?
we don't need to get into a
disrespect.
fight, but yeah, that's not the same.
If-
That's
if-
not
if-
even
if-
close.
I knew that
That's
was
not
gonna
even
fly.
close.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
the only thing that's competitive about PvE is speedrunning.
Right. Yeah,
No,
there
Hey,
you
I
go.
got you,
And I'm-
bro.
I'm
And-
with
and
you
this-
on that.
I got
Tom.
you. I got you.
And the
Let
speedrunning
them finish.
community like
Let
kind
them
of
finish.
gave up on Destiny when they did all the sword nerfs, right?
Yeah,
And the
they got
war-
rid of the sword
yeah,
nerfs.
so-
Yeah.
Get rid of. I'm gonna come at our toxic guest and toxic co-host.
I'm just
with the
saying,
PvE
I
slander.
don't understand I just want to know, like, if you say you're good at PvE, tell me what you're good at that makes you good at it. Because I don't understand. that part.
Disrespect. Do you know
You're good,
you
you're
are
good
in
at
the
killing the
presence
bots that don't
of
fight back,
PvE
basically?
royalty? Do you understand who is co-hosting this podcast? Do you not know the Shattered Realm solo
What are you good
flavor?
at?
The Whisper of the Worm solo flavor. Do you not know what this man's name was built off of? Do you understand? This is
I don't
the
even know the same.
cheater.
I got
Put some
Cog over
respect
here. I don't
on
even know
his
to say
name.
anything. This is great.
Put some respect. This is the man who gives guides. I'm just joking. But at the end of the day, we ain't gonna do that. Moving on. Moving on. E, you were gonna get onto your point. You were gonna get onto your point.
About, or did you
About
just
the
cover it
next
for me?
topic. No, you was about to
Oh,
get into you was about to transition into something. I was just being silly.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can be decent at PvE. I guess we can get into a debate on another day, but yeah, it's definitely not
get how
rock,
you can be
paper,
bad at
scissors.
PvE.
That's a trash
I get
metaphor.
how you can get bad at PvE. I'm just not sure how you can be good at
I
it. People
think
say
being
like,
good
"Oh,
at-
I'm the best at PvE." I'm like,
I think being good at PvE right now means like you're really good at creating builds because that's kind of what
that's
they've
true.
they've like with all the different mods. That's kind of where they pushed it towards. So rather than
But
knowing
you
all
can-
the weird little intricacies of the game.
You can watch a YouTube video and then be the best player at PvE because you did a build that you saw on YouTube. I don't get what being good at PvE means. It just seems like
We
Like,
gotta have
everyone's
them
good
do
at
some
PvE
solo
if they can
dungeons.
shoot.
E.
I was like,
If they can
They
shoot-
out of pocket. They out of pocket today.
all right.
Well, back when you had to like,
I was
back when
gonna
you
be
had to
like,
actually
yeah.
learn how to skate, or like you had to learn how to quick swap. Then being good at PvE,
it's like there are technical
that's-
skills.
I'm
There's
just with
also
Tom
people
on
who
this one.
low man stuff like raids. Like
Yes.
there you go.
SO.
Kevin,
Salute the SO.
Esoteric is good at PvP. Does that cover it
Put the
for you?
names up in the chat, y'all.
Esoteric is qualified as good at PvP because he will pretty much do anything PvE. Yeah, but yeah, Esoteric puts me to shame.
Go try and follow one of his YouTube videos.
Yes.
Yeah, he does things most people
I'm convinced
can't.
he's not human. I'm convinced that's a cyborg, so that's not a person.
Well, we haven't
He's
seen
an
him, have we?
algorithm.
So, we don't see him in his videos, so he could be. He could be.
Yeah, I've never seen this man. He doesn't even speak.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I can ever get him. If I can ever get him on the show, I will. But I just don't think he would be a podcast. I don't think he wants to be on a podcast. He doesn't talk in his own YouTube videos.
Esoteric is just Bungie's test algorithm. We just didn't realize. Yeah.
Pretty much. Be like, all right, let's see how somebody starts a stopwatch, patches live, and how long till he's done solo in this one, and done. Okay, we got an hour and 20 minutes. Sweet. But yeah, in my opinion, there is skill in PvE. It just depends on what you're looking at skill, whether it's low manning a raid, whether it's speed running, whether it's just the fact that you're going into an activity with a bad loadout just to try and, make things harder on yourself. If you're soloing a Grandmaster Nightfall, that's no joke. Granted, I feel like it's a lot of patience because the whole leveling in Destiny is a different discussion. But there are ways to be skilled in PvE. Some is patience, some is learning the AI, but it's not nothing. I would definitely have to at least put my foot down there.
All right,
anyway.
I will also say that there are people who claim to be good at rock, paper, scissors. They have a world championship, and there's some guy who's won multiple times.
Paper, scissors.
There's a guy who's won a world championship of rock, paper, scissors 7 times. So clearly there's some skill.
And I will
understand.
say, watching PvP pros play PvE is one of the funniest things ever. It's hilarious.
Moving on. What else we got going on with this talk?
So they do state for Forsaken, you will be able to play the campaign for free from December 7th until February 22nd when it launches. So if you've got a friend who hasn't played it yet, tell them to hold off. In weird combination, though, they are going to sell a Forsaken pack. I don't know how much it's going to be. Forsaken pack will be available for purchase, so we're still buying things on Forsaken 3 years later. I have an opinion there, if you can't tell. It will include access to the Last Wish raid, Shattered Throne Dungeon, as well as access to all of the Forsaken exotics. Forsaken pack will also include 3 Forsaken ciphers, which can be used to instantly unlock your choice of Forsaken exotics. They do not include the raid and dungeon exotics. So if you still don't have 1,000 voices, you're not going to be able to go to the kiosk and get it yet, which...
Thought I was going to go to Walmart and pick one up.
I know. I was hoping the same. They say if you do buy the Forsaken pack and you already own it, you're going to just get the ciphers will be turned into Ascended Shards. I just had this at some point, Forsaken should not be something they're charging for, in my opinion. Like these last 3 months, I don't know. It's so I know Vault of Glass is their free raid. I get that. But at some point, whenever Witch Queen comes out, that's no longer going to be the Pinnacle raid. It's going to be a free raid, but it's not the Pinnacle raid. But I think at that point, it's so old. I mean, that's a point where you can go look at Final Fantasy, where you have hundreds of hours of content that you can go play for free. It's I don't know if World has stuff for free. That's a whole different example. But I mean, there's a point where I think they've got as much out of that as you probably need to. I don't know why they're still holding on to charging for that one. That one feels weird to me. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that one because in my opinion, Forsaken should be free. It's 3 years old.
What you think? Tom.
I think Destiny should be free, right? That's what Tom and I were saying.
We don't understand the pricing model at this point, but that's a different discussion. But
it literally does go back to their pricing models, though, doesn't it? And where they make their money. Surely they could put something in the store that would just make up for that revenue. I don't know. There can't be that many people buying. I guess they kind of force you into buying Forsaken, don't they?
And that's where it feels bad. I think you're like, oh, you want to play this other cool content for a little while, or here's the campaign that's free. Well, I did the campaign. What about this Wish Dragon? Well, you got to pay for, and then it's in a weird place, as you said. The pricing, they're doing it in a lot of places, but this one, I think, my opinion is I think they've gone a little too long on this one.
When do you think they'll actually fix their pricing stuff though? I feel like the Light and Dark saga, once that's done.
I thought they would have fixed it already, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if they'll ever fix it.
I don't think they will. It just doesn't seem like it. It seems like wherever they obviously have a certain revenue stream through certain, the DLCs, and like it's a guaranteed revenue, so they can then invest into the game and whatever else.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it just doesn't seem it'll ever change.
Well, that was the thing too about, say you were in this season right now and you want to go back and play some of the other seasonal content. You're like, well, Hunt wasn't that great, but you probably should play Chosen. Splicer was pretty good, but like you have to just go buy the whole thing. You can't even piecemeal the seasons at this point. There's no, part access. It's just so.
To their credit, though, what other game can you play the seasonal content after the season's over?
I mean, that's fair to a point, but it's like
you can't do Apex seasons, you can't do Fortnite seasons that have already happened.
No, and I get that the content's out there, but you can't piecemeal it though. Like you could have piecemealed it throughout the year, but you can't retroactively go back and do the same. You can't just like, I want to play Chosen because
you can.
How?
They're doing it, right?
Well, I mean, now with Forsaken, they're doing it 3 years later. No, I just mean it's like it's weird where you can't just. You could, when Chosen started, if you want to play Chosen, you could pay the $10 and do it. But if you get past that season, you can't retroactively go, hey, I just wanted to play Chosen. There's some cool stuff in here. I want to play, Presage. I want to get the Dead Man's Tale, stuff like that. You can't specifically go back. You have to spend like the $30 now when this stuff is kind of outdated. It's just a weird. And we'll say it enough. It's weird.
Comes back. Yeah, and it all comes back to that new player experience as well. Like if I have a friend who, especially returning players to Destiny, like because there's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah,
they come back and then they're like, so what do I need to buy? Like, what guns do I need to get? And then they're like, oh, I can't get this gun because I don't own this thing. And it's like, what a mess.
Yep. I get it all the time. I literally, especially when what you call it, Destiny was put in the Game Pass. And I had so many people come to me, Cog, I know that shit game. You love it. I'm going to get in. And then they get in and they're like, wait a minute. Like, how did you guys get that cool gun with a horde? How do you get that? I'm like, oh, that's tied to season of this. You know what I'm saying? And this is tied to the season of that. And whoa, dang, I want 1K voices. How do you get? Oh, you had to buy Forsaken. You had to do the raid. And so it's just. And then we've always talked about this, like the onboarding is just for a new player. I know they've tried with the Cosmodrome. I know they've tried this new light experience, but it's still a struggle. That's why my new thing is I'm like, oh, let me introduce you to my friend Ebontis in this channel for getting started. Like I have to literally point them to a YouTuber and say, watch this, because the game is not doing the job of really streamlining the experience is what you're supposed to do. And yeah, that's the thing. With I know we're going to go back a little second, but that's the thing with the narrative beats, especially also not having a Red War, not having a Forsaken, and then being thrust into a story and you really have no context, you really have no history, and they're in a tough spot. I don't even know how to solve it because it's Destiny's this weird hodgepodge of things. You know what I'm saying? And then
I think
models.
If they fix that, like this game would truly be massive. Like,
yes,
I do believe that because the gunplay, especially if you're a first-person shooter fan, you could go play Apex, you can go play Warzone, whatever, all those. But the gunplay just never quite feel the same, even though it's still peer-to-peer for some reason. Even all this stuff that frustrates you and all this stuff, but like it's still unrivaled. Like it really is.
Preach. Speak your truth, Top. Speak your truth.
But like, they made it free to play, and then they just made the new player experience terrible. Like how does that happen?
It's crazy. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's almost like what you were saying, Cog. Like the friend game is the end game, and it's also the pre-game now. Like that's the only way to get introed into the game is to have friends who can walk you through it. And I think like Bungie at this point is like counting on that. Like, oh, you're not going to get into Destiny by yourself. You're not just going to like download it on Game Pass and figure it out. You're going to like need to know a guy.
Destiny pops up, and after you get done with your quest with Shahan, it's going to say, first, go watch Fast and Furious so you understand where this reference came from. Second, here's a 4.5-hour video from Bife.
Yes.
Go watch this, get some popcorn, hang out, and you'll catch up, and then you can go. But it was like, they've started doing the animated storyboard, the inkblot, like kind of stuff. they need, somebody was saying it in chat, and I was chatting with them too, they need you to kind of go through the basics and understand the fundamentals and be like, all right, sit down. You got about 30 minutes of in-game cinematics to understand what we've been through as a player in a franchise, the gods we've killed, the things we've done. You may not be able to experience this, but these are the things we've been through in order to get to this point, because they want the friend to be able to jump in now. If they want the friend to be able to jump,
they added the timeline.
They added a timeline, which was impressive. Yeah. I did like that. You get trapped. Sorry.
Yeah, but I was
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, go.
No, the timeline's there, but it is just that some way in game for somebody to just. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. That's extreme. Yeah, but it's like just somehow make us like a 10-minute, like have somebody build a quick summation story. So if you want to jump into Savathun, you know why we're here on year 8.
Yes.
It's like that thing when we had Destiny 2 launch and they had, if you signed in with a Destiny 1 account, you saw your old history. Yeah.
Yes. They definitely need that.
They need the opposite of that. If you haven't signed in, here's the stuff you missed.
Here's what you missed. And that they should utilize that timeline that they created, right? And there should be those storyboard, cinematics and say, hey, this is what happened in, from D1 all the way to where we are now. Even if it's, 15, 20 minutes, it don't have to be all day, but there should be a narrative beat leading the player to say, okay, that's who this crow is. And, just they got to do something better with the onboarding from a narrative standpoint. Yeah.
And also if you return, like I signed into an account I haven't used for like a year and it's just like, that's all you get. It's just 100 different things that mean absolutely nothing. It's not like, so we see you haven't played the game for like 12 months or whatever. Here's what happened in the game up till now, sort of thing. Like that would just be so good for a returning player. Like, okay, I understand. Okay. So then, I can go get this weapon. Blah, blah.
Yeah, I just think they need to make a new player experience, and it needs to evolve every season. Like, change what that new player experience includes every season, and just like keep it up. And then, if they're gonna keep charging us for expansions, which again, I don't think they should. I think they should just change their model. It should be a free game, and they make their money in microtransactions. But if they're gonna keep charging you, the Destiny content vault should be a separate app where you can access legacy content. Like, I know that's been suggested before, but like if they're pulling all the stuff out and putting it somewhere else, then make there a separate app where I can access all of the old Destiny campaigns.
Travis in the Shadow Realm now.
Yep.
I went to the Shadow Realm?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. No, you're back. You're good. No,
you moved the server too far away from me.
Yeah, now you moved too far. Nah, he's good.
I was helping Tom, then I messed with California.
You're good.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I was just going to say, like, if they are taking it all out of the game for technical reasons, then make a separate app where they're offline campaigns, or you can play with a couple people and that sort of thing. And yeah, I just think they need to do that.
Well, I mean, I think you actually had
selling us.
I think you had a really good idea with the timeline is depending, and it could always evolve. Like, you could start like, here's the timeline cinematic, and you could like shift forward. This is what we experienced here. Then you could shift forward, and as the timeline gets longer, they could just make a piece that covers whatever season just happens and keep tacking it on, and that way you could kind of pan through. And if you, it would be great for us as players who've even played for a while to be like, hey, I want to go back, see some of the cinematics that are even in game, just to be able to access them. And that could be an optional download, as you guys have said. Hey, do you want the old cinematics or something like that to take up more space? But then you could at least watch them. And then, hey, you've watched them all. Do you want to keep these on your hard drive for space, or you want to delete? Because, those files sometimes take up some space. And I was like, sadly, we have all these ideas, and we're like, we'll just take one of them.
How cool would it be if that timeline, if you clicked on it and then you just went and watched your raid back? And you saw all the people you were with, like Splitgate does, right? Like their game saves of like their clips are like 5 meg on your hard drive, but it basically just recompiles it all in the game. Like that would be so cool. So you have all the memories of like running around a raid. Remember when he fell off and he kept falling off? Look, there it is. All that sort of stuff would be.
That was one of the more. I know they didn't do it to the level you just described, but that to me was one of the more amazing things Destiny 2's launch did, with showing you what you did in D1, who was in your raid party when you completed King's Fall and all that stuff. And it was very emotional at the end of the day. There were a couple of friends of mine that passed away, and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, you get to see it lived on. But I understand your point, but definitely a good point.
Well, Well, somehow
No
we've
doubt.
talked about the DCV for way too long.
Yeah.
I think we know how. We knew that was.
I mean,
It's all that Twitter's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think Bungie and Destiny are both what's it called, trending.
Yeah.
It's the
is-
most,
yeah.
the greatest game to cover ever. It's so controversial. I love it.
Yeah. Always have different opinions about it. But I mean,
Especially when you
that's
start talking about PvP versus PvE.
Yeah, that's very clearly.
clearly we have opinions about those things. No, that's fine. But it is, it's another one of those forks in the road where you're like, okay, take this stuff out of the game. That is one of those points where I do feel kind of bad for the developers, though, especially this season because of the Shattered Realm. It gets to live for 6 months and bye. Like, and we've talked about this, like, one of my favorite activities, the Metroidvania that Travis, like, kind of stuck the name in. I can't stop saying that. And just the unlocks of everything. Like, take that and go throw that in even a Legacy or something just as a cool place. You could still have the 3-week rotation, but have somebody be like, hey, this cool thing in here. And all you'd have to do, you wouldn't have to have the compass unlocks. Just when you do beacon 1, open all the little beacons that you can interact with, but you could still do it. Those are some of the things that when they make stuff like this and then it's gone, it's got to be a weird thing as a developer as well, because they spend a lot of time making these
Resources.
areas. Yeah. And then it doesn't even last forever. That's always kind of
to
odd.
see your creations disappear, as you know, especially as someone who's a writer. If I lost all my articles, like that, would be be painful. So
I hear you.
It's,
I hear you. Why is Travis smiling? Why is Travis
We got
smiling?
those archives. I'm just thinking about articles disappearing. I've had that happen before. Like I think I had like 5 years of my reviews just destroyed because a server went haywire. Or something.
Yikes!
Yeah. I know that struggle. Yeah.
Jesus.
So you got a feel for the people involved in that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, like if it's overall, especially if you work there overall, if it's better for the game, then you'd be all for it. Like it does feel like whoever's in charge now, Joe and everyone, like it feels like they understand the community more. I think.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that.
They're keeping the
perhaps who
content
was in charge
somewhere.
before.
They're not throwing it away. It's going into a vault apparently, right? So they can take it out of the vault later, and they probably will. We'll be doing retrospectives till the day we die. Oh, Order Forsaken, here, play it for the 8th time.
Vault's back for the third time.
Vault is back. Destiny 4, Vault of Glass returns.
Oh yeah. We see Galley keep coming back. It's undying.
I forget
content.
which one of you said it. It could have been you, Cog. Just was like, it's like Galley is one of those things, and somebody's like, "We're keeping the silver bullet on the wall. Please take out in case of emergencies." And Galley, it's like, "Oh, we got to delay until next year."
The engagement numbers are down.
Gallo. We got a 6-month season. Break the glass.
Exactly.
That's that silver bullet, baby.
Yep. Well, before we get there, next week we are going to be getting a potential new increase in difficulty for the Shattered Realm. So I don't know if it's going to Legend or Master, but we are going to get higher difficulties in the Shattered Realm. I heard a rumor also for Astral Alignment, but I haven't actually seen that mentioned anywhere, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen. That's just kind of one of those things I've seen in speculation and data and things like that. Shattered Realm, I can understand. 3-person, you could run it solo. I could see how they could do that one. The 6-person, if they do like a higher difficulty Astral, and then if it's like not match made because it's a Legend difficulty thing and they don't do that, it's like it's going to get convoluted. So I'll be curious to see if that's actually true. But Shattered Realm at a higher difficulty, is that something you guys are going to want to jump into? Is that exciting? Is that just like, I've done it all at this point, I don't need to do it again? Or
if there's secrets in there, more secrets.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm always down for a challenge in PvP or PvE rather. Why not?
You're a big Shattered Realm.
Are there challenges in PvE, Travis, or is it just all rock, paper, scissors?
Not right now. I mean, I can't think of any.
Okay.
Have you ever felt challenged by PvE content in Destiny?
Savage. Continue.
Can you stream a solo Grandmaster run and let me know if you feel challenged?
The call out.
Sure.
I want to see you solo a Grandmaster, and let's watch this. Let's watch this.
I love it.
But that's not the way
unfortunately for that, I would have to be high enough power level.
I was going to say, are you even high enough to go in?
He's going to grind that, yeah.
That's all right. Just
Tom
sleep
about
in
to
the
get
throwaway
spicy back.
overnight.
Tom about to get spicy back.
That's the hardest part about PvE is how much they really want you to grind the same activities.
I do agree with that.
And yeah, the timing is the no lifing is the difficulty of PvE.
when they used to
I think that's what people mean when they say they're good at PvE, is that they have a lot of free time to grind the power creep stuff.
Yeah, they have so much time. They go one way through the map, and then when Destiny reuses the content and flips it around, they go the other way back.
They messy today.
Are we doing like we're talking about like Mario Kart mirror courses now? Like go the reverse direction. It's harder this way.
I'm done.
Teddy would appreciate the
But like
Mario
doing
Kart.
a master on your own is like saying do a 1v6 in Iron Banner or something.
Right.
That's true, 100 under light or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
ridiculous.
not the way it's intended to be played. Like,
Yeah.
like that's my point. Is with PvE, anytime you say like, oh, it's difficult, it's like, oh yeah, because you like
You have
made
to
your
make
own
it more
game
difficult.
mode. Yeah,
He said you made
you
your
had to
own
make it hard. That's the only way
like-
it's hard.
Bungie didn't make it hard, so then you had to make it hard for
Yeah.
them.
GMs, they decided you are this below level and everything's gonna one shot you. Go.
Pretty much. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
That's got
Which
I mean,
is-
you
which
can
is
still-
not-
They're,
it's
they're
not
still
hard.
pretty easy with a 3-person though. With 3 people, they're not super hard. The hardest part is getting power level.
It's not hard. It's just frustrating getting one
Right.
shot.
That's
Yeah.
the difference. Is
Really.
like after playing too many Souls games and other things, like even difficulty can be difficulty done in different ways. I still don't love the way it's done in this game. As a PvE person, that's kind of frustrating because I can learn skill and things like that. But like there are moments where you're like, hey, I got damaged in Dark Souls, but I can heal myself because I had a stupid moment where I got hit, but that was on me. But every moment you can recover. You don't get the chance to recover on some of these things because
Right.
if you're not perfectly loaded out, you're not this thing or the otherwise, or you just sneeze and like your elbow's sticking out and you get sniped or something. Like there are points where, yeah, it's just, I don't love the way that's done. It's like, I still wish that felt a little different, but still we still, bash our heads through it.
Yeah, or there's
yeah.
no radar, and you're used to having a radar, and they just decided that week that they're turning it off. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you just got sniped.
No radar and all melees or instant
all
kills.
melees. Those are the
Yeah,
worst.
that's such a nasty combo. Or
Yes.
that old I
Attrition
think they
still
took it out.
sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, attrition. Is that the one where you can't heal
Yep.
and you have to stand on those pools?
Mm-hmm.
It just
Oh,
slows down game.
The lost sector that I did, the little pools are sitting in the light, or because you kill a bunch of goblins and they drop the little lightning on the floor. So all the little restorative light pools are in the lightning death.
Great.
So every time you
Great.
got to get one, you're like,
That is game design right there.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like people who are good at PvE, what they're really good at is having a ton of patience for all the BS that's in like those PvE modes.
There is patience with trudging through rooms, and I ain't gonna front. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, higher difficulty
what else is
coming,
going on?
and then Festival of the Lost actually begins next
Yeah.
week, as many of us expected. So we do get our Halloween event. They did actually a really cool thing. They worked with basically an artist. So Bungie collaborated. So what were you gonna say?
No, this was actually special for me because I know who
Go
that
for
is.
it. No, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Luis
really?
Yepes is a good friend of mine. He's actually from the Undead Labs team from State of Decay. He was formerly of the Undead Labs team. Good guy. We've had him on ILP before, right around when State of Decay 2 launched. And I kind of knew about this, but I was supposed to be quiet. So I'm glad I can talk about it now. But yeah, so it's cool. He's of Mexican descent. Very nice guy. And he's the one would specifically tell me that. And he's a huge Destiny fan. Huge Destiny fan. Guy is like super passionate. And he was saying like, yeah, working on something for your game. I'm like, really? I couldn't talk about it at the time. So yeah, it was cool to see him get this spotlight and get the love from Bungie and the community. So shout out to my boy Luis Yepes.
Yeah, so he did a Dia de los Muertos Day of the Dead shell, which actually looks really, really cool. I kind of like the art style on it, the direction that he took, and they showed kind of some concepts that he did. But they did a whole interview with him, and really cool to see just like Bungie in the TWAB, shout out an artist, work with somebody in the community to like put something in game. And Tom, you literally said that, and I've seen other games do this too, where it's like, if you go out and somebody community sources it, and Steam does it with, the Steam, what is it called? Where people like make mods or skins or other things, and then I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Them. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah.
And they sell them, they take a cut, you take a cut. But some people like make decent money if you put decent mods or skins or certain things together by putting their efforts in. So it'd be another way for Bungie to make some money, but it'd be cool to get the community involved because the community for Destiny has so many amazing artists. Prime example is this one. So it's really cool to see that kind of shout out and the interview to go with it. They could just be like, hey, here's this guy. They did full interview with him. So that was awesome to actually see. So that one will be available for silver and bright dust when it comes through the mix. You'll be able to see that one come through. And of course, we have dinosaur armor coming. If you guys remember, that is dinosaur armor. So who's excited for the dinosaur that you get, or did anybody feel their class got screwed? By the way, who got the Triceratops?
No, I got T-Rex. I'm happy.
Yeah, we got T-Rex. There was like a raptor. Who got Triceratops?
The Triceratops feels right for the Warlock, though. It's an herbivore. It's kind of haggard, like Warlock.
Watch your mouth. We ain't gonna do that. There's Warlock disrespect.
The T-Rex is a Titan, right?
I think so. Yeah. Is it like
with
the
tiny arms? Always
with
punches.
the tiny arm. Yeah,
see, that's fitting. Yeah, the raptor for the hunter. Agile. It worked. Yeah. They got him right. I was like, Warlock would be like the Hunter and the Titan makes sense. The Warlock's that's probably a bit more of a stretch, but yeah, it still is probably as close as you can get.
Well, they get that cool boots with the toe. That's like the best piece of armor is the toe on the Hunter. It's got that.
I love a lot of the armor they've been doing, but why have they still not got like the year 1 stuff? You remember the ornaments? They're still not there.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a technical limitation. That's what they told us.
It's been
yet another
vaulted.
technical
It's been
limitation.
vaulted.
They just didn't tell us.
What are you looking for from like say year 1? What are you wishing was
Iron
in
Banner.
here?
The Iron Banner year 1
ornaments.
ornaments are so good. Yeah.
With the
Trials
fire
armor
chest.
for year 1, they have that
Trials.
for some reason, but
Mhm.
that is in the game. But I think you have to apply it to Trials armor.
Yeah, I agree. Iron Banner armor was insanely good. From D1.
Well, we don't even have a way
back.
like people were saying with the DCV to throw back for a second, like Whisper Catalyst, Outbreak Catalyst. There's people don't have ways to still get those, and people are like, well, Dead Man's Tale and Hawkmoon are about to go away and be in the same boat, and we don't have the old ones fixed. So again, I was just like, don't hold your breath. Probably not coming soon.
Yeah.
So it's like those are some of the weird things. And you're like, how long is it going to take for somebody who you can now go buy the gun, but you still don't have a way for them to get the catalyst? They need to put them in there. So again,
that fawn armor that they're bringing out, that looks
that looks nice. I like that.
So
the thorn. Yeah, that. I wonder how hard that's going to be to get. Do you think it's going to be like a weekly rotation where you can get like one piece a week type thing, maybe from a boss, or to like stretch it out?
Eververse for sure.
Yeah, it'd be time gated. Like Bungie loves a good time gate.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
No, you'll buy it with silver probably.
Yeah.
Well, I think that
you can only get 2 pieces a season.
To get your synthecords and weaves and strands.
Oh,
yeah.
started.
Yeah, we lost our minds on that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But we do have a patch coming on Tuesday. That one's actually going to do some fixes. They're taking a champion out of the Corrupted Strike just because it's the ogre section between the 2 realms. Some people would miss him, so he's coming out. Crossplay UI is getting a little fixed. But the biggest thing, Grandmaster Nightfalls will now have a 100% chance to get an Adept Nightfall drop. So now every time you run a Grandmaster, you will get an Adept weapon. It was a chance at before. I don't know how low it was, but it is 100% now. I think this is probably what it should have been the whole time. If you're going to go barrel through a Grandmaster, you should at least get something.
I think I did like 7 Grandmasters in a row on a double loot weekend, and I didn't get any Adept weapons. I got every Adept mod, though. I was playing with DJ Oros and some other people. They can testify.
Yeah, he's in there.
I got nothing, and I was just sitting there like, yeah, this is really great, guys. I'm glad we grinded through this strike we've done a million times, except for way worse this time, just to get nothing.
There's one thing in the TWAB that they didn't mention.
Which one?
That it's launching on Xbox Game Pass for PC next week.
Yes. That's a big deal, and I'm going to test it. I'm going to test it.
I'm super curious to see if it loads faster because oh my god, since Battlelight it loads so slow now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's really noticeable. Because on console you just hit a button and it starts loading. On Steam it's always been like that 10 seconds waiting for it to open. Now it's longer.
I wonder if it's anything with the mandatory anti-cheat installation. Wonder if that has anything to do with the.
Could be
Oh
that.
yeah, it's definitely slowed it down.
It's definitely slowed it down.
Sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious because one thing that I have some relationships with the Xbox, the platform team, and I'm always on them if they truly want to spread the ecosystem correctly. the PC ports need to improve. They really do. I've had some bad experiences.
The Ascent was one I think you guys mentioned recently on Duke.
Was one. Shout out to Maddie with Defining Duke. We talked about it. I'm always going to champion that because at the end of the day, you have to take the PC community much more seriously. And from my understanding, a lot of this stuff is, UWP and when Windows 11 comes out, hopefully they're going to address. But I do want to see how Destiny 2 Game Pass works as opposed to Steam. I'm very curious about that. I don't know. So I'm going to be getting my little tech on, and maybe we could do some testing and see how that goes as well. I'm very curious about that experience.
Yeah, I'm super curious whether it's different at all. For sure.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. That 10 seconds you have to wait to open up the game. By the way, Tom, we call that the cheaters penalty. You all have to wait an extra 10 seconds.
But it's always been pretty bad. It's always been pretty bad, though, isn't it?
So have PC players. PC players have always been pretty bad.
Oh, done.
Wow, just constant.
Long before Destiny.
I don't think I don't think Travis is gonna work out long here with you.
No, he's gonna just because he was a temporary host.
The PvE like literally the core tenets of who you are. This man has been slandering you. I love it.
I play on PC too. That's why I have so much ire for the fact that they're all cheaters.
Just because I've got 10 macros assigned to my mouse, it doesn't mean I'm cheating.
And it's like, have you seen those MMO mouses with like 18 buttons on your left thumb? Those things are always crazy. Those crack me up. Neurat actually had an interesting point, though. I wanted to point this out. He said free Game Pass for PC on the same content they use as a paywall on Trials.
Yep.
That's it. That is a thing because you can get $1 trial
you get it for free.
Game Pass. Yeah, free. Yeah. So it could be a problem.
It's I don't know. I mean, I don't know if, and I guess the thing is, I don't know if Witch Queen is coming to Game Pass anytime soon, or if they give this longer window and then it comes later in the year or something, kind of as they're doing now. I don't know what the plan is, but the fact that if they're trying to get those a little more concurrent for Xbox and PC, if it's free on PC, then that's, I don't know, that'd be a thing. I guess though, like if you do cheat and like your main Game Pass account is linked across all your Xbox stuff and then that email gets kind of screwed, that would probably get a little frustrating to have to like log out, use a different Game Pass. I know cheaters are going to go around the whole thing, but I was like, if that's kind of linked at all, you're not going to want to obviously mess with your main. I don't know. It's just something that does open it up a little.
The main way that cheaters acquire accounts is from people just selling their old accounts on eBay.
Right.
Like because you also have to, level up and get to a certain point before you can even enter Trials.
Yep.
I don't think many people are going to be selling their Microsoft accounts on eBay. Like,
right.
Not their main.
That's true.
True.
I don't think you're going to do that. So so it is definitely a concern, but hopefully not too bad.
It is interesting for sure.
Well, before we kind of wrap, Tom, if you've still got some time as you're here, I was actually wanted to ask, as you're kind of competitive, Trials. We didn't get to kind of do the retrospective on it last week. It got a little hot the week before.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right.
The Destiny community got upset.
I don't know.
Not us.
They hated
the game.
me. Speak for yourselves. They were so mad at me, dude. My DMs, you guys have no idea.
Really?
People were calling me elitist. Oh, dude, yeah. Like,
I didn't know they DM'd you.
I didn't know they DM'd you. I just saw comments on my video.
Dude. So bad. Like it was like all week I was just like fielding all these messages and I respond. People DM me. I like talk to them and stuff like that. Like, why are you elitist? Why do you want people not to go to the lighthouse? I'm like, dude, did you even hear what I said on the show? Like, I didn't say any of this stuff. Like, I don't know. But yeah.
Oh my god.
The comments were interesting to say the least, but we've had the full 3 weeks of experiment. Iron Banner was kind of the week off. It is coming back. Basically at this point, they're going to leave it to where the Sunday daily reset is when they're going to turn on the flawless pool. So Friday and Saturday are going to be kind of open matchmaking. Sunday and Monday are going to be flawless pool will be activated. It will be normal trials. There will be no capture points. So that's kind of where it's going to be going forward, at least for the time being. They are going to do the like freelance trial at some point later on. They haven't given a date on that one. But for the 3 weeks we got, finally, again, with the point and everything else and where it's kind of landed for the moment, where, especially Tom, I want to start with you. Where are you in all of this trials experimentation that's been going on, and where do you think they've settled for the moment?
Yeah, I think they experimented with too much too soon. to be honest. And I think they're settled at probably where they probably would have settled at anyway. Because I think turning it on straight away was a mistake. So having it this Sunday feels a bit more balanced, but I'm still not sure about it. Like, I don't know. I played, I think, that first weekend, and then I think we were just matching the same. Like, I played at 6 p.m, so which is reset in the UK, and went flawless by about 7:30 or something like that. So pretty soon, and not super soon. But then, like, we were just matching the same people straight away because of the flawless stuff. So it was not a fun experience. But when it was open to everyone on that first weekend, like, it was great. Like I could then go and grab clan members that I knew weren't the strongest players. I could take them through. Like, I think that's the biggest problem with all their changes, that they've forgotten that people like to play with their friends and like to and I don't always want to like have a sweaty game when I play as well. Like, I do want it to be competitive, but I think the competitive level of trials should be when I'm at 7 wins and there's a lot of loot on the line. Then that should be matchmake me to the highest tier players. I don't mind that, because I'm trying to win. At that point, I've gone flawless, and I'm trying to win additional rewards that are pretty highly valuable. You're getting an adept weapon, and you're getting like golf balls, whatever they're called.
I call golf balls.
Golf balls works.
We call them same thing.
Yeah. So I just think they experimented a bit too much, especially with the zones thing. Like,
yeah, how did you feel
zones thing?
Yeah, how did you feel about that?
Like, it's fine. I don't particularly mind that being in the game, but like, there was some basic stuff that they obviously hadn't tested properly. Like, you could continue capping the zone at the end of the thing to get 10% super. Yeah. So like you would strategize around that essentially to like protect the zone, and then just you'd kill someone and the other two would sit on the point, and the third person would come and run, and you'd all get 10% super. Just like, that's just silly. And then the way that it just ran, like where they put it, in the spots were like either Iron Banner or Crucible spots. I don't know. Like, I think it would have been funny if it was in random spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just dropped it randomly, and a little bit closer, obviously, if you were losing and stuff. But it's fine that they experimented with it, but I don't feel like that makes it particularly competitive, having that zone.
Okay.
Like,
so overall, you'd be good if that never came back.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not like a massive. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't love it, and I think they'd have to do a fair few changes to it to make it feel a bit more balanced.
Like right now, you're just kind of ambivalent to the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's what most people were, because I think a lot of people just pretty much ignored it to the point where like you'd be like, oh no, the guy's cap, and it's like 90%.
Yeah. You're like, oh, lost that round. But hey, we just got into our side now, so we lost a round, and now it's on our side. Yeah, I would say for me, just the like strategic movement of it. Hey, we're up 4 wins, but let's lose 1, so that now the point's on our side, and we can just play defense and like turtle up. And it's just that, I think, is what you said. It's like, for one, the fact that it shows up like straight away, so you know exactly where it's going to be. If it was like 30 seconds and then it's like, hey, it's going to appear here in 10 seconds or something, it'd be like kind of a, and as you said, if there was more than just like A, B, and C, like you're telling me you have one map to work on, you can't like update a map to say, hey, now it could have like 12 more different points. Just put it all over the map just to mess with people, like just to see some interest. That would be interesting. But the fact that people were strategic to be like 4-1, lose 1, now it's on our side, camp it, got it, done. Like that was a strategy.
And there was like basic functionality with it, which was just broken. It's like, wasn't it 30 seconds, I think? But by the time you'd actually spawned in, it was like 24, 25 seconds. So you'd lost that 5 seconds. Like, it just come on. Like, it's just real basic stuff there that they hadn't got right. But, it was a test. It was a beta, essentially. So it was fine, but it's not there this week. So I think I'm super curious to see how today goes, because this is like the combination of the like kind of changes they've put in there. And I think I appreciate where they were trying to go with some of those changes, but they definitely, like, their Lighthouse experience now is a lot easier than it ever has been, for sure. But I'm not a fan of skill-based matchmaking.
Interesting.
What about a ranking system?
Yeah, like a ranking system.
Like
I think
Rocket League.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
the main reason I don't like skill based matchmaking in Destiny is because it doesn't have dedicated servers. So if I get skill based matchmake against someone, I could be playing like someone in Russia for me is really laggy. Someone in China for me is really laggy. All the sort of countries that are a little bit further out than the UK, like your connection to that person just makes it really difficult to even compete against them, and they're good players. So it's like that's not the way for a peer-to-peer game to matchmake people.
My main problem with skill-based matchmaking is what they've done in the past is that it hasn't been transparent, and you have no idea by what metric they're doing it. And there's a lot of theories that the way they were doing it was based on playtime, which is kind of insane to me. Like playtime in PvP or just in the game in general. But I think if they had I just want there to be a ranked system so that I'm playing against my peers. Like I'm not the world's best Trials player anymore, but not that I ever was, but I'm definitely not as good as I was when I had way more time to play Destiny. But I want to at least feel like I'm playing in the same bracket as like people who are at my skill level, and I think everyone should be forced to play at their level in Trials, and the kind of like Wild Westness of the matchmaking system right now, it just does not lend itself to a very competitive or even like well balanced experience, because sometimes you're just getting destroyed and other times you're destroying other people, and it just doesn't feel good. It's just...
And they have lobby balancing now, which makes it even worse. So it's like if you're playing solo like Crucible, you just want to play some chill quick play. You can never, if you've got like 2,000-3,000 elo in a particular place, you cannot have a chilled session of quick play, because it will lobby balance you to the point where you've got 3 people who are basically, staring at walls, and then you're out there like I'm, trying to play the game here, and it just doesn't work. And I get that people hate, like people really want skill based matchmaking because they're like, I don't want to play these higher tier players, but really, like that shouldn't be a thing. You should want to play them because it'll make you better at the game. It makes you have more game awareness playing people who are
Travis got an ally
occasionally.
I was like, to a point. I was like, I will say to a point. Yeah, I was like, to a point when the disparity is so big that because we had Send Nomad on a couple of weeks ago, and that's kind of the thing. It's like he likes games where you can, like, I want to learn something out of a game, and if something, as Travis is saying, if I'm playing people around my level, and there can be a decent range to that level, there could be somebody like 3 or 4 steps above, but 20 steps above. There's a level so far that I don't get a chance to learn. But like as you said, it's like playing against better people than you, like even to like an incremental percentage better. It's like that is how you learn. That's why those brackets, when you slowly start to work your way up, that's good. But if you're playing like bronze to diamond, you're like, they're doing things I don't even understand. So there's and as you said, the skill based with there's some wiggle room in there. It's interesting, but it's like too far.
Yeah, exactly.
Is just kind of weird.
I think Paul said in the last episode that like he didn't see a world where Bungie would make Trials like more competitive. And I'm like, I don't even want it to be more competitive. I just want it to be like bracketed. I just want like, you can still go Trials if you're super low skill, your KDA is like really bad, but as long as you're playing against other people that are in that level, and that you comparatively are doing really well at your level, and then I'll do well at my level, and then the gods will do well at the god level. I just want it to be a similar experience across the board at all skill levels. So I'm not saying like, make it so only the best of the best can go flawless. I'm just saying make it across the board a more competitive experience where you feel like you're learning. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely the best way to handle it. But at the same time, like just Destiny as a competitive game, it's never going to be competitive regardless of what you do to the ranks. Just
fully competitive.
Right.
Yeah, just because like the hitboxes are huge, peer to peer, like there's so much stuff. Like it just never will attract those players that don't play it anymore.
And then they have the struggle
but they do exist in the Destiny universe, and I think it's not every PvP competitive player in Destiny knows the pitfalls of Destiny and why it will never be like a Halo level arena shooter. But the reason they stick with it is because everything else surrounding Destiny is so good, it sort of is worth some of the shortcomings. Like that's why I do it for sure. And I just think they could do some easy tweaks to make their game a little bit more balanced when it comes to matchmaking and the way that they do PvP. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, this needs to be like an MLG tournament, because that just is never going to exist for the Destiny community. But I just think there's something there, and they can do a lot better of a job. And then also I just have a problem with people saying like, "Oh, Destiny isn't that, therefore it never can be." It's like, well, you know, just Destiny has never been defined by what it is at the time. Like it can improve, it can get better, and I just think when it comes to PvP and the competitiveness of it, I just think they have a lot of room to grow, and it wouldn't require a ton of work to get there. It would just require them to make some strategic decisions that make it a little bit more balanced. That's all I think.
I mean, the other thing is that they have such a sandbox issue that they've always had, right? And it comes it comes down to the revenue thing. So they introduce stuff like stasis, and they introduce that into PvP. They know it's broken. They've tested it, and they don't just roll this stuff out and be like, it's broken. You know, it's there.
I'm so surprised.
Whoops! Sorry about that, guys.
No way.
Yeah, because you get shot by that stasis thing, and you're like, I'm gonna go buy stasis. That's literally why it exists. That's why OP exotics exists. Like,
of course, it's a marketing tool.
We all know this. Yeah,
let's go. I know what it is. Yeah.
But like, they do need to like fix up that sandbox and like try and find better ways around that.
I don't even know if that's fixable, man. There's just too many guns, too many weapons, and it's growing. We're gonna get that new vapor, I think, is coming. At some point.
Maybe they need to sunset everything.
Here it goes. They're sunsetting.
Here it goes.
I agree with E on that one, though. I think sunsetting is an inevitability. It is.
Yeah, it is. It's got to come back at some point, surely.
I predict it will.
Tom,
just don't do it to
our one contentious question: would you sunset exotics?
Ooh.
Yeah. I got
probably
the response I like. I'm good. Wherever he goes from there, I got the response I like.
The one thing I really don't want them to do is sunset armor. Only because the way that you stat roll armor in this game is frustratingly irritating when you get to like, you have 49 stat, and if you had 1.1 more, you'd have, 50 stat armor.
Yeah.
And stuff like that is super irritating. So like I have the perfect rolled stats on my armor. It's like 90 mobility because I Titan skate. So and then I have like 6 resilience, 100 recovery, 100 intellect, and like whatever it is on strength. And
so you have your sets and good, and that's
it's all perfect. So
I'm with you on the armor, because for me, as you said, right now your stats are good, and I don't want to grind for another set of stats. So it's like if they ever do anything to armor, as we've kind of seen before with like Forsaken bringing in stats, for me to care, I just want to care about armor again. And right now, I've kind of said this multiple times, I don't. Because once you get your stats, you don't need any. Like I see a class item drop and I'm like, why? I literally have one of each style masterworked. I never need to see a class item for the next 5 months. And unless Witch Queen does something different, like there's no. So
honestly, the only reason why I keep not to cut you is just for the different element and the elemental mods associated.
That's all you need. You need 4 sets of armor.
Pretty much, that's it.
With transmog,
even that stuff, they kind of walked back a lot of that element. Like I remember you had to have like void armor for like sniper and hand cannon and stuff. You don't need that anymore.
Right. Now it's everything is elementally tied to mods. That specific mods only will fall now, even with stasis now, the new stasis armor, like specific mods are tied to it. That's their way of making you try to hold on.
Yeah. That's literally their way to extend the grind. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what they'll do with armor. They won't sunset it. Like I'm fairly sure of that because they know the way the community react. But what they will do is they'll just bring in OP mods. That are only tied to that particular armor, and then you're like, okay, I need to get new armor.
That's why I see the stasis armor. I'm like, I see what y'all doing. Okay, they're making me forced to go grind this element of armor now.
Yeah. When sunsetting does come back, they'll call it, it's just going to the Destiny content involved.
Because some of that stasis armor, you can get like even in PvP, you get an extra orb on your super and stuff. Like, I don't think the PvP side of the community have quite got the builds stuff like figured out compared to the PvE community. But I think in the coming months with Witch Queen, it's gonna be super interesting.
I agree.
Yep. We will see if Witch Queen brings anything else that we don't know about, which of course we've got more to come, but glaives and legend difficulty campaigns, raid that's not against Savathun.
I forgot about glaives.
Yep.
Weapon
crafting and all that stuff. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we will see. But to allow our guest to kind of get off into the rest of his day and his weekend, we do want to let this man at least have the rest of his day. We thank you, sir, for joining us today. I feel like this is a good place to wrap up. So is there anything else you wanted to discuss at this point? Or are you good? Because I know you don't get you don't get to vent on Destiny all the time. So we can be your outlet for that. So if you have I feel like
we've gone through most stuff. Like the main thing I want Bungie to do is like I said, is really to bring like some of the creator community into the game, and I feel like that would be a good way to really uplift the community a bit, and then just to figure out their revenue situation, just so that it's just so we don't have to have because I think if people knew that the game was ongoing and live, they wouldn't necessarily be worried about if they knew that after Witch Queen they wouldn't have to buy a DLC or whatever. Yeah, then this Forsaken stuff, wouldn't be so bad. So yeah, but I think we've gone through pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Unless we want to talk about sunsetting again.
You don't want to be here another hour there.
No. Yeah, we've had those debates. They were entertaining as well. Not quite as vocal as some of the other debates, but definitely a heated one. That was us too. That was Cog and I. Just
me and E were not friends for a little bit. Yeah. We worked it out. We worked through it. You know what I'm saying?
We got there.
The trials debate. Travis versus everybody.
These Destiny debates that everyone has. It's always funny watching the community flare up about something. Some things they're obviously right about, but I think for the most part, even the armor synth stuff, that stuff blew up, but it doesn't matter that much. I feel like you probably earn enough to be able to do it anyway, unless you're really into it. So it's I appreciate that Bungie's trying to make their money, and they have some really sketchy ways they try and make it. Sometimes it looks bad.
I appreciate the sketchiness and the money making.
But
we have some questions.
I respect the hustle of.
I respect the hustle sometimes. I don't want a game where I'm paying $20 a month to play.
For sure. Really. I'm okay with them, and at the end of the day, the transmog is cosmetic.
It is what it
is.
Yeah.
But the main thing that I was mad about was 3 new currencies and the whole
classic
process. I don't like that they
Trav
pretended like there was a way to do it without paying. They were like, oh yeah, no, it's super easy. All you have to do is play 80 hours and you'll get one piece of armor. I'm like, just sell it to us. Just take it out and sell it to us if this is how you're going to be,
Yeah, if there's anything they could be, it's just a bit more transparent with the community, for sure.
For sure.
Those 2 years of not really knowing what was going on with anti-cheat is
and PvP in general and maps.
Yeah. It just highlights that they need to be a bit more transparent in certain areas.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Well, I got 2 questions for you. One, what is your favorite cookie or biscuit? I guess I could say for you guys, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's about right.
Cookie. I'm not really a cookie fan. I like Oreos are great.
Okay,
stuff,
there you go. That's all it shows.
There we go.
And then the other one, I'm going to steal Travis's thing. If you could ask Bungie for one thing going into Witch Queen, what would be your Bungie please?
Take Witherhoard out of PvP.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Or just make it so that I don't just act sneeze on it and then I'm dead.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know. There's so many things I'd want, but some that is a particularly frustrating thing in PvP at the moment.
Yeah. No, that's
Bungie.
My question.
The Bungie please that I did is supposed to be something really pedantic. Just a nitpick,
That's a pretty specific one. Yeah, that's a pretty specific one. That's actually good.
That's good.
Yeah,
as opposed to I want 12 raids or something. No, he's like, I want 1 gun out of PvP. He did that was good. I like that.
I got
my
one
big
question.
nitpick right now. My Bungie please that's just been on my mind forever has been the tower versus the helm and Zavala and Akora not being there, and it's just that just annoys me.
No, I agree. I hear you on that. I did have a question. Being that you are a raider. Your favorite raid?
Ooh.
All time.
Last Wish, to be honest.
Ooh,
okay.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Why? Why Last Wish?
It's got to be between Last Wish and Vault of Glass, but obviously Vault of Glass when it was prior. It's great Vault of Glass now, but it was kind of special then. Because Vault of Glass, was That was fun. But Last Wish was just like
Talk to me.
I
Talk to me about
think
Last
the thing
Wish.
about raids and like we were talking about the difficulty and stuff.
Yeah.
Raids really exposes whether you can follow basic, things in the game and like follow your team and strategize and all that sort of stuff. And it's just Last Wish was really particularly like lots of different mechanics you really had to learn. And there's also that one guy who's like, when you're in like an LFG, you know that you've done every role, so you can pretty much do whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, so who's going to do plates or whatever? And then it's like silence. And you're like, all right, I'll do that. I'll do that. Like, Last Wish is definitely that raid I think the most, where like it exposes whether people have actually learned that particular content or not. So whereas I think VOG. Not so much, but Last Wish, the mechanics in Last Wish, like I said earlier, the pure fact that no one actually does Riven. You literally run into a wall, teleport, and then just blast it with whatever's the latest hot OP weapon.
OP weapon,
fusion rifles.
That just shows, and that is the Destiny community in a nutshell, isn't it? Like anything that's cheesy.
Yeah,
anything like that.
They did the same with Vault of Glass.
It's the community of efficiency.
I'm the same. I love the efficiency and I love the cheesiness.
No, I got to shout you out because I do like the Last Wish choice. It doesn't get enough love. I love the narrative connection. From the story into the raid was beautifully done. Riven encounter, escaping with the heart was amazing.
And it was the first raid to change.
Good.
Yeah,
that's an actual good encounter. I know everybody skips it, but the first time I completed it, I did it legit, and it's a great encounter.
You were saying,
and it was the first raid that changed something in the game as well, right? Like
yes,
it opened up the strike and
the corrupted and I always got an affinity for the Shuro-Chi encounter. I don't know why. The Shuro-Chi
just
encounter,
the pure
just
chaos
the speed.
of all of it.
The music is amazing, and the speed, just and elevating and getting on the plates. It's a frenetic kind of thing. So salute to Last Wish.
I just go there to finish my catalyst.
That's it. It's like everybody just steals the 1,000 ads in there. Just run into the door, kill them, die, do it again.
The greatest checkpoint in raid history.
The fact that you can literally go straight to it without cheating is awesome.
No doubt.
Also, probably the best exotic event.
1,000 voices.
1K is up there, bro. 1K is up there.
It's so unique and cool, and using it in Gambit was so toxic.
It's back now.
Oh yeah,
I still don't have it
on
so
PC. When it first came out, it was tied to your frame rate, the amount of damage that you did.
Yep.
So if you had like 200 frames, you would literally map the whole team in Gambit. It was insane. I remember that. They didn't patch it for ages.
Yeah, I carried that thing in Gambit, and people, that was probably the period of my life where I've gotten the most DMs on like a
Xbox.
Every game, people would message me and just be like, "You are a monster!"
I'm sure much worse.
I'm obviously taking out the expletives, but people were just like, "Dude, screw you," because I would just go in. I was constantly invade, kill their whole team. Invade, kill their whole team, just constantly. They could not stay alive. So upset.
Hilarious. I love it. It's a good old thing.
I've got a lot of fondness for Last Wish, just Forsaken in general. That's
salute.
Salute. I hope they bring out an expansion that's like Forsaken level, but
I think they will. They'll get that big. It's just going to take them a while because they're going to have to home grow it and build it.
Yeah.
They go with a banger like year 10. The unknown one right now is like the ultimate.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Well, that I would say definitely wraps everything up. Got a little extra out of you, so we appreciate that one. But at this point, I just want to thank you for being here, taking the time to join us. Thank you for the reschedule.
Twice.
All my fault. And all the PC people appreciate and now can poke fun at me for a while. It's going to be a lot of jokes, but it's totally fair. I can laugh at it now because it's okay. Exactly. But at this point, I wanted to kind of let you have the floor to kind of let everybody know if there's anything that you're looking forward to, anything that you do in articles on, any coverage, basically to tell everybody where to find you, what you're doing, what you like doing, all of those things. The time is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I am following the Twitch hack quite a lot at the moment. That's been the this week has been insane because on Monday Facebook was down, Tuesday Windows 11 came out, and then Wednesday Twitch got hacked. I'm like sitting here doing this podcast. I'm like, what's going on? Like something must have happened, right?
The podcast got hacked. Don't worry.
yeah, like what's happened. But yeah, like I primarily focus on Microsoft and PC gaming, and just PC stuff in general. So that's kind of what I've always really focused on. So I'm on Twitter at TomWarren, obviously TheVerge.com, all that sort of stuff. I'm trying to think what we have coming up.
What you got going? What you got going?
I don't know. Like I feel like we just finished like Techtober.
Yeah.
There's obviously the Google event next week and a lot of stuff, but like a lot of stuff for me personally with the Surface devices and all the Windows 11 stuff just wrapped up. So
yeah, you had a pretty busy couple of weeks there.
Yeah, it's been intense, but I think there's going to be interesting Xbox stuff. Halo Infinite previews and reviews stuff's coming up. I played a bunch of that beta and like it's really weird, like getting used to the time to kill and stuff. You played Destiny, right? Yeah, right. You forget. And obviously not being able to ADS with half the weapons really because you get popped out of it half the time.
You need to though when you have
not really
recoil.
Yeah. And you basically have like no range drop off on half the weapons either. So it's a lot of fun that was. So I think leading up to that, I thought the campaign was gonna suck, but now I think it's gonna be okay. Like the game feels pretty good. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Forza's coming out as well.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like.
I get my 4K monitor at the end of this month, and I can actually experience all the glory.
Yes,
you said Forza.
Horizon 5. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
That's gonna be like a technical showcase.
Oh yeah. Playground is out here stunting. Man.
Goats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to all that. Like that's gonna be the next sort of few weeks or a couple of months for me, really. So.
Yeah, it's like I know Halo's big, I know Forza's big, but it's like, COD, Battlefield looking kind of shaky. I feel like almost might need a delay depending on how that one's playing right now. Unless it's just an old build, like I don't know if this month is going to be enough for them, but it is weird to go into like Call of Duty Vanguard, don't really care. Halo's big, but it's in December, but it's like this October, November. I know October has a lot of things coming, but the giant games actually aren't quite there. I feel like a lot of them have been pushed a little bit, but there's still a lot to play. Like this week had like Far Cry and other things. And then you had Kena just a little while ago that I just finished up, and you've got
Alan Wake remastered.
Yep, I've got to actually play that one. Yeah, I need to jump on that. So it's like there's a lot to do. But it's just not like
playing New World though, right?
New World,
yeah. And I've been buried in 90 hours of tree chopping, so
I refuse.
I'm avoiding it at the moment.
I'm avoiding it.
Yeah. It's one of those.
Worried it's going to blow my PC up as well.
So I will say, go into like your NVIDIA settings, cap your frame rate, those types of things.
Yeah.
Like I've done that already. Like because the biggest thing, because I don't have my 100 high frame rate monitor right now, so I wouldn't push it as hard. It's only 60. But yeah, you can probably play at 60 and be okay. Don't need to go too crazy. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like I haven't played World of Warcraft in so long. So finally coming in and doing this, it's like there is some kind of satisfaction to what you're doing, seeing the numbers go up and that type of thing. And I haven't done even the big PvP stuff. And I don't know how long it'll last. It's $40 one time, no subscription. So again, I don't know what else is coming, but it is fun for me in a weird way. I just can't explain it to other people. Like, should I buy this? Do you like it? I'm like, I do. I have this weird satisfaction out of it, but I cannot tell you if you're going to like it because it is not for everybody, but it is fun.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, Battlefield and Call of Duty. Yeah, like I'm not that interested in either.
Halo picked a great year to come out.
Things are aligning for Halo. It feels.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's free, right? So
free to play multiplayer.
Let's hope it just doesn't get hacked to death.
Yeah,
that'll be the question.
Got a lot of things going for him, for sure.
Because
just can't wait to play the campaign.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's the huge question mark. Yeah.
Campaigns.
Plural.
With an S.
Because it's a living, evolving campaign of 10 years.
Well, there's at least 2 campaigns in this first.
But are you gonna wait for co-op, or are you gonna? Like, because you can't wait.
No, I'm not waiting. Yeah, I'm not waiting.
No, I mean, honestly, I'm glad that co-op isn't around at the beginning because I prefer to have like my own meditative solo journey, and then once I'm done, then I'll bring in my friends.
Are you trying to force kill him right now? What's happening?
And interrupt. You know what I mean?
I was doing so good avoiding an argument with him today, and then he does this. I was doing so good, and then he does this.
Look, I love playing co-op campaigns, but I never feel like I get the full story experience with my friends chatting in my ear and stuff like that. And yeah, of course, you could always choose to play offline, but then your friends hit you up. They're super annoying. They're like, "Oh, why are you playing solo campaign? Hop in with us." And I'm just like, dude, I just want to be able to play the campaign by myself once without anybody annoying me. And now that co-op isn't there at the beginning, I will have that opportunity. So personally, I'm kind of happy, but I get why people are upset.
Yeah, I like playing it with a friend for sure.
Thank you.
I think in a work capacity, I'd want to
say.
play it on my own and like really, engrossed in the story and not miss a beat. But like, yeah, it is co-op's just a Halo thing, man.
Yeah, I'm just a fan
I like
of
it too. I'm not saying I don't like the co-op.
No.
Of course.
No, but
I'm
you did
play
say
it-
you like that it doesn't exist there.
at the beginning.
At the
I'm gonna
beginning,
play.
you did-
I'm gonna play
you
it
did say
solo.
that, sir.
I'm gonna play it solo, and then when the co-op comes out, I'm gonna play it again with all my friends, and I'm gonna have a great time. And I'm not gonna be worried about the story because I already did my solo playthrough. It's kind of perfect for me. I get it though. I get it.
We'll see how it pans out.
We'll see how it pans out. I just like that, games drop, launch with the features they've always launched with for the history of the franchise. I just like that. It needs to be consistent,
Game development is a lot different now.
Oh,
And
yeah,
let's not forget COVID. Let's not.
Yeah,
forget,
oh no,
like,
for sure.
the general stuff.
That's why I've always been a fan of delay, but I'm not going to derail this because I want to move on.
You want to delay the game again?
Oh, I've been on team delay from the beginning. If the features are not ready and they've already delayed it for a year, could you imagine what it would have if it would have launched with the Series X?
I cannot picture what we would have been playing at that point. I don't even understand what that would have been.
It just shows to me.
But there's a difference between like the game being incomplete or looking the way it did and all the problems that they had, and some features not being there right away and then being transparent about it. That's if the game is fully ready except for co-op, I'd rather have it now and then them add co-op later than them to just delay it because of one feature that they're going to add anyway.
Two features. Forge is the other feature.
But Forge is almost never launched with Halo. When is it ever like Halo? I think it launched maybe with Halo 3, but all the other ones it got added.
Again, it just shows to me that more time is needed. That's what it just shows to me. But
for features that are non-crucial,
they have existed throughout the game, throughout the history of the franchise. So it just shows to me that more development time is needed, but they are choosing to meet their Halo anniversary and the things associated with it. And I get it.
Yeah, there's somebody financially going, you have to release this in 2021.
I
still feel like that's true.
I think that they need more time to develop it if you've played the beta or the preview, because that game does not need more time. That's
like the multiplayer component.
But the thing that they showed last year, it obviously looked rough. And the screenshots they released, I can't believe they released those screenshots.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, none of that stuff really matters. I'm like a big graphics guy and all that sort of stuff.
Me too.
It's the way the game plays, right?
Oh, the gameplay is fun.
And it looks great. And the campaign, everything I saw was like, dude, I want to play this game. And then afterward, I went online and I saw everybody was mad about graphics, and I was like, I didn't even notice, to be honest.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. When I saw the initial, I just thought it looked fun and it played fun, and I thought the grappling hook and all that stuff, even with after people dissected it and saw Craig face and saw the pop in at the top, that didn't bother me at all. That's it. I'm the fan of, I rather the dev take their time, and we know the history with Staten now being in charge and Lee going. It's clearly internal turmoil that it took to get this game. And we can't say that there hasn't been a struggle with the development of this game. And that's all I'm concerned. And to me, I'm always on the side of give the dev as much time as they need. And I'd rather have a great product. But again, I'm not jinxing the game. I'm going to play it when it comes out. I'm going to be right there with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just always a fan of, hey, give the dev as much time as possible if needed.
I think it's going to blow up as a multiplayer game for sure.
Yeah.
It seems like it so far.
And it's rumored like 20 maps or something crazy.
Really? You guys don't think it's going to be dead in a month if it doesn't have a battle royale mode?
I ain't say that.
I wonder if they took like the maps out of the PvP maps that Bungie put in the content vault and just took them in.
That'd be great. Although those maps would not be good in Halo. Also, I don't think Destiny's maps are particularly good, but
that's true. That's a whole other topic.
Whole other
It's a
topic.
whole other
Maps
topic.
forcing playstyles. We can't get into another podcast. Anyway, that just means we'll have to bring
Yes.
you back. That just
Yes,
that
that'd be
just
Tom
means
has
we'll
to
have
come
to bring
back.
you
I'll be
back.
happy to come back.
Awesome. Well, that was about a 15-minute outro for you, Travis. What do you got coming up?
I'm doing stuff on IGN as usual. I actually recently did a preview for Grounded. They're doing they just announced an update called the Hot and Hazy update, where they're changing a bunch of stuff about that game. And
That doesn't
adding
sound like you're
more
talking about the Grounded game anymore, but
Hot and hazy.
Yeah, Hot and Hazy. That's right. They're adding a bunch of like RPG mechanics to the game and making it more like a Obsidian game that you would expect, and adding some new areas. So you can see my preview for that on IGN.com. Follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis. I also do a general video game talk show called Bitcast on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific, right before the Lords of Gaming do their thing after football. I think is.
Yeah.
Are you doing it at the same
before
time
football.
now?
We're
or
doing
do
it at the same time
do
as
you
you.
do
I
before football
warned
at the same
Ainsley.
time
Yeah.
as us?
Yeah.
We'll be moving out of the slot back to our normal time as soon as
can't have
January.
there's more than one podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Actually, we have found that some people listen to both of our podcasts simultaneously.
Yes, simultaneously,
And are in
we
the,
did find
and
out.
are in the comment sections for both. And I'm
Both.
like, you guys are crazy.
Yes.
There's no way you're... What do you have, one ear pod in each of the... You know,
I've
I
seen
got
it.
my
I've
headset
seen it
on and my
crossover.
earbud in. Okay, I'm set. All right.
Yeah,
And my
right.
brain exploded.
Yeah. But yeah, you can find me there. And also, you can find me here talking about Destiny every week. How about you, Cog?
No doubt. First off, salute the legendary TomWarren. Huge fan of you, brother.
Yeah.
Following you journalistic career for a while. When E told me that he reached out and you said yes, I was just blown away. Like, so
Oh,
cool.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, bro, so cool to have you here. Like I said, love your work, love what you do in the Windows and the Xbox community. That the news bits are great. So salute to you. And in fact, you're a Destiny fan just automatically makes you awesome automatically. So you're cemented as a legend now. But yeah, man, at me at Lord Cognito on Twitter, Iron Lords Podcast. Every Sunday is the Lord's Day, 11 a.m. Eastern. Check that out. And for those who want a more Xbox centric, check me out. Podcast. Check me out on Defining Duke when Mr. Matty plays. We've got 2 episodes up. One on the big team battle. We break it down. Defining Duke Ultimate. We kind of go down with that, and then this week we kind of talked about earlier about the TGS and everything going on with Microsoft's efforts in Japan and the latest news bits, man. And of course, lordsofgaming.net, a little smaller site, not as big as The Verge, but we got some people, check us out. We talked about the I believe the Pitchford restructuring and stuff like that. But I appreciate the support. And of course, that Last Word podcast with these 2 co-hosts of mine. One I want to strangle about Halo, but I'm going to refrain myself.
One a previous co-host, I believe. I'm now a former co-host.
No,
of
you're
the show.
Exactly. And,
After
and the-
pissing off E all episode for 2 episodes straight, and now you, Cog, I think I'm out of
good,
here.
bro.
Travis gets demoted, and all of a
good.
sudden his window gets smaller and smaller, and he just fades out of the podcast.
You good, man. And of course, E, the survivor, the PC survivor.
Oh no!
We're happy to have
Just
you.
pray to
What's
the
going on
PC.
with you,
Thank
bro?
the PC gods that I'm with you
Yes.
guys this week. Seriously, so
Mhm.
I will never understand and thank, however, the miracle of luck that things did not happen that I expected, because I was expecting the worst. And seriously, I had literally ordered a motherboard that afternoon and ended up sending it back. So I mean, it was pure luck. But yeah, I will be chopping trees, messing around in trials. I've got some my wife's family coming in this weekend, so I probably won't be doing trials till Monday. I'll be a little off on that type of stuff. But yeah, for me, you guys know what I'll be doing. I did get Alan Wake, so I mean, I've got that one to try and work through. Kind of a fun experience I'm looking forward to if I can peel myself
Nice.
away from New World. That's just one of those, there's so much to work on. Like, that's one of those weird games. You're like, hey, I want to make like an upgraded bag so I can carry more stuff. Well, okay, do I make the upgraded bag? Okay, I need this like one thing. Well, if you want to buy it on if you want to buy it in the trade area where you can do that when it's already expensive. Okay, so how do I go find that myself? Well, I've got to level up this thing. So I'm running around picking up just hemp in this loop for hours, and I'm like not even close to as high as I need to be. So no, it is a game that you can lose your whole life into if you choose. So we'll see if I can pull myself away, but I got to get some Destiny in this weekend. and got to get ready for the new difficulties and stuff coming up. But yeah, it's like, honestly, again, thank you, Tom. It was a pleasure. And believe me, it was, kind of a shock that you said yes, but you've been ultra nice about the whole thing. And especially after last week, being a PC guy, I think you could empathize, which worked well.
Yeah, I just felt bad because you obviously followed a Verge guide to installing Waterfall in your PC. So I just felt bad. I was like, oh, I have to come on.
Sorry, I almost lost my headset on that one.
That was great.
That's awesome.
My pre-gaming of all the heckling, he was,
he saved the best. He saved the best one for last, right there.
Just leave that one there.
We'll leave that one right there.
Yeah, I'm just that clip won't make it back out there. So, but thank you so much for joining. This episode has been a blast. Thank you for letting us get the extended time as well. And we'll definitely have to have you back. But for this episode, to my co-hosts, both of them, both Lord Cognito and Ty Guy Travis, wouldn't be enjoying this thing as much and probably hurting in the cheeks after all the laughter this one. And Tom, thank you very much. But for this episode, it has been a long one, but it has been a great one. So number 168, October 8th, for this episode, it has been The Last Word.